What's up, everybody?
We're back!
Welcome to the latest edition of the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, episode 139 of the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, presented by our title sponsor, CST Tires, in stock and available for purchase today at shop.csttires.com. I'm your host, Cody Jansen, saying hello to our more than 258,000 monthly Digging Deep listeners in 109 countries in which you are listening, and this is our 2024 Budds Creek Race Review show. The ATV Motocross National Championship Series headed to Budds Creek Motocross Park in Mechanicsville, Maryland. And as you know, Budds Creek needs no introduction. We were just out there for our live show. Some of the most iconic moments in motocross history have taken place in the hills at Budds Creek. And this weekend was no exception, with some incredible racing. On the upcoming episode, we'll break it all down with one of the best co-hosts ever, Jeffrey Rastrelli, who is currently out due to injury. Jeffrey was a fantastic addition to the show here, and we're excited to top it off with the highly anticipated first ever appearance by Westley Wolfe here on the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast. But first, let's quickly shout out all of our incredible partners. CST Tires, go to shop.csttires.com today. Yamaha, thanks to Blue Crew. Thanks to SSI Decals, Valvoline, DID Racing Chain, Namura Technologies, Bronco ATV and UTV Components, Launaville Steel Enterprises and Concrete Supply, the financial advice of the Haymauer Financial Group, DP Brakes, Factory 43, Binky's Forever ATC Museum, Impact Solutions, Ultimate Poly Products, UPP Racing, our choice when it comes to case savers, chain sliders, intake manifolds, and more, the D6 Ultimate Quad Series, and Manscaped to get 20% off and free shipping with code Digging Deep 20 at manscaped.com. It's the dog days of the 2024 ATV motocross season here, and that means no better time to save on Manscaped's products by going to manscaped.com and using code Digging Deep 20 for 20% off. Whether it's the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, the GOAT of electric razor trimmers, my personal favorite, the Beard Hedger Pro Kit from Manscaped, or the best nose hair trimmer ever created, the Weed Whacker 2.0, get 20% off and free shipping by using code Digging Deep 20 at manscaped.com. So rad that Manscaped is continuing to invest in ATV racing as a longtime partner of Digging Deep. Help us keep them in the fold and involved in ATV racing by using our Digging Deep 20 code so they know you enjoy digging deep and what we're all about. Support all these great companies that support us, and for any products that fall through the cracks, click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner on our website to help us out. No matter what off-road gear parts you need, Rocky Mountain ATVMC has you covered. But before you buy, simply click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner on our website. By using our specific link, we get a percentage of what you buy on the back end, enabling you to help us out while purchasing the parts you need anyway. And did you know you can buy OEM parts from Rocky Mountain ATVMC as well? Yep, shipped conveniently right to your door. So click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner at diggingdeepatvmx.com to help us out while satisfying all your gear and parts needs. Shout out to all of our donors. If you are interested in donating and hearing your name on the show, you can find the Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee donation links on our website. Major thanks to all who have donated over the years. Now, if you can't donate, but you still want to help us out, you can leave us a rating or a review on iTunes and Spotify. That helps us out a bunch too. Now, it's showtime. The 30-second board is up, it's sideways, and the gate is down. Time to dig deep.
Let's go!
All right, guys, we're back for another race review episode of the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, and this is another special one. Our AMA ATV Pro class is hurting right now, hurting in the fact that a number of heavy hitters are sidelined due to injury. But the one and only positive about that is that we've had some kick-ass co-hosts directly because of it. Last week, Nick Janusa joined us. He set the bar pretty high as we broke down the action from High Point. And this week, we're joined by another buddy of mine. Brought to you by UPP Racing. Use discount code DiggingDeep15 at uppracing.com to save on your next order of case savers, chain sliders, intake manifolds, and more. Say hello to 26-time AMA ATV Pro Class podium finisher and former Quad Cross of Nations winning team member while representing Team USA, riding the number 28 Rastrelli Racing YFZ 450R. It's my buddy, Jeffrey Rastrelli. Welcome back to the show, my friend.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Cody. Thanks for having me.
So, pal, how are you feeling? You've been sidelined for a pair of races now. You took to Instagram and gave a little bit of an update. And even before that, Nick Janusa kind of shared with us on the show here, you know, the little bit that he knew. But man, it sounded like you got pretty busted up there, pal.
Yeah, man, it was. I've had a lot of wrecks in my career, but yeah, this one was was one of the scary ones. You know, you always, you don't think about it, but you think about it. When you have a mechanical on the face of a jump or like in the air or something where it will, obviously make the bike quit and those tires go, whoop, and you know what happens then? The front end drops. So I had a mechanical failure on the face of a jump, practicing doing my finishing touches right before high point. Of course, you know what high point is for me.
So good for you, dude. So
good. And I was feeling a little better, had some blood tests taken, and I had a lot of things that I figured out, and I figured out what's wrong with me. And, how I was struggling in the beginning of the year. And this was the swing, I felt it. I knew it. Had all the positivity going to it, whatever. But, had that happen, a little mechanical on the face of a jump. It was about a fourth gear wide open jump. And had a bail at the front, bike actually landed on the front bumper and didn't cartwheel. It just landed and actually came back and landed on its wheels. So the bike didn't get banged up at all, but I did. So I had to jump off the front and landed right on my right foot. And I knew when I landed that I broke something. I didn't know what I broke, but I knew how it felt that I sprained some ankles before and it didn't feel like a sprain. So it was pretty the crazy turn of events for that. Like I left the hospital and they said, you just have a bad sprain. And that's what I posted online. I was like, I just had a bad sprain. I'll be back at the next one. And about a week and a half went by. I'm like, man, this is not a sprain.
It ain't getting any better.
Yeah. No, it was still swollen. I couldn't walk. It was black and blue like I've never seen before. I went and got another opinion, not the hospital, but actual specialists. And I broke the navicular bone in my foot. And it's a little bit of a slow healing process at 8 to 10 weeks. It's been about 4, and I'm going to push it and be on the bike at probably about 7.5 at Pleasure Valley.
Okay.
But how it feels right now, I'm getting there. It's just a little bit banged up still, but I just got back into training, riding the Airdyne bike a little bit, trying to get to where I can, be halfway there for Pleasure Valley. So.
Well, man, that's super scary. Nick had kind of hinted at the fact that he thought or knew it was some kind of mechanical situation. And then you kind of elaborated on the fact that is kind of what happened there. And there's nothing scarier than that. Like in the air or on the face of a jump, when you deal with something like that, especially going as fast as you were going, like that is the nightmare situation for a motocross racer, right? So
absolutely.
To have that be the situation, and it's almost like, you hate to say it, but it's almost like it's a blessing that it's just what you're dealing with. I mean,
like
it could have been so much worse.
I have a video of it, and like I want to post it on the internet, but it's almost like bad where I don't, because I mean it would probably get the most views I've ever had. Like I want to for that reason, which is cool, but at the same time, it was like I don't want to see it because. That was one of the ones, like I said, that's my biggest nightmare as an ATV motocross racer. I've always been very fortunate to the motors to blow up on a straightaway or coming out of a corner or before the jump where I can hit the brakes or in the air where I'm still level and I land and I'm fine. Like I've had a lot of that, but never like I'm taking off and it goes, whoa. And you can see the bike and it's going up and just the front is just drops. There's nothing else I can do. So
nothing. You have no control.
That was the bad part. There was no choice. I had to jump, and it's the only hard pack track around here, of course. So I landed on concrete. If I landed on sand at my track, I probably would have been okay. But it was like concrete. Just prepping for high point, so I went to a hard pack track. So, but
right.
Pretty terrible ordeal for sure.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that things aren't any worse than they are. They talk about, I've heard about the navicular bone, and when you hear about it, it's typically in your wrist is where you hear about it. It's like a dirt biker injury. You hear about it a lot, actually. Yep. And that's one of those things. And if I remember correctly, it's a bone that's kind of buried inside, right? So it's a hard bone to break almost, but it's also a hard bone to heal because not a lot of blood gets there, I think.
Exactly. They said it's a low blood flow area. So your actual metatarsals that go to your toes, there's some cartilage in between that and the navicular. So there's it's like a 3-piece foot, but that's a bone in the middle. It's almost like a little mini donut. It's not, and with no hole. You know what I mean? It's like, it's almost what it seems like. It's like in the middle of your foot. But
it's I knew it was like some kind of little like floating piece of bone, basically. Yeah.
It's just it's like, metatarsals, cartilage, floating that navicular bone, and then like your heel. And then obviously like your tib and fib connect to that and stuff like that. But it's a weird ordeal, man. Like I almost feel like right now how it feels and stuff, like, I could push it and I could go to sunset, but yeah, there's just no point in it.
Why?
So it's just me. But that's me as a racer. Like we talked about this in previous episodes I've always rode injured. Like, I don't announce it. I don't tell anybody. I've rode injured my entire career. And this one was the one where I couldn't. And that was probably the hardest to swallow. Like I broke my transverse processes in my back. One of the most painful thing on the planet in 2018. I raced 2 weeks later. Like I've always done it. So this one was like to swallow that, not go to high point, all just positives from there. And I'm laying in bed and I felt like I got ran over by a dump truck. It was yeah, that was the hard part for sure.
And then as you start to get better here, I'm sure you start to feel like, hey, like you just kind of hinted at, like, hey, I could do it, So, I mean, that's the racer, that's the athlete, that's the competitor in you to want to go back out there and put the boots back on, the helmet back on and get after this thing. But I think it's smarter to do it this way. I've been there before. We talked about this before, like getting back out there. We both raced injured. Like you just said, why? If you were in some kind of points race late in the season, you're fighting for something, it'd be a different situation. Right. But I said the same thing to Nick. I said, if you can heal up and get back out there and end your season strong, get some podium finishes, stuff like that. I mean, that's what you would, that's the only constructive thing that's going to come from the season at this point. So to go out there and race, if you're a little busted up, it just doesn't make any sense. Like you said, I want you out there. Don't get me wrong. I want you out there more than anybody, but it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. And I could wrap that thing up tight and put that boot on and go out there and hope for the best. But at the same time, right now, like just got back into training, I got about 3.5 weeks till we go racing. That's pretty good amount of time where I could be pretty good going to Pleasure Valley. Like I feel like I could, my fitness wise, and I actually came up with some things, like I said, in the blood work that I've been working on. So this was. Yeah, obviously my season wasn't going as the way I planned in the first place. Like my speed was there and we all seen that speed was there. That was never an issue this year. It was just my fitness. And like I have some problems that I had to take care of. And I have a H. pylori, I have a stomach bacteria that's tearing me up. And there's another thing that we just found today in the blood that is probably the main reason why. So I think that happened for a reason. And I used to not be that kind of person. I always thought, why me? And right now I'm actually thinking of it in a positive outlook. I wasn't doing great anyways, and I wasn't healthy on the line in Ironman, the second moto. If I didn't get third to first moto, I felt so bad that I could have went back to the truck. And a lot of people don't see that and don't know, but that's just how I felt this year. So this happening has allowed me to take the time, get healthy, do that extensive blood work. It took a month to get this blood work back. I've never had extensive blood work like that before in my life, but now I know why. And now we're going to proceed on making myself better. And if I could do that, I'm going to be just as good as I was or better because of how bad I felt. There's no way there's no way I could feel worse.
It's crazy how the universe works or whatever, because you and I had a heart to heart, right, on Sunday morning at Ironman, and you kind of filled me in on some of the stuff. And that was the very next thing I was going to ask you about. I assumed you didn't want to elaborate a ton, but yeah, like you didn't feel like yourself. You were racing really well in the first motos. You were kind of burning out in the second motos. We were watching it happen. It wasn't a speed thing. It was that you didn't feel right. You could tell you didn't have the energy. You could tell you said you were going to the second moto gates like out of energy. Your gas tank was empty, and so, I was really hoping, like I said, when I read that you were going to be out, I'm like, man, I know you were scared to go to the doctor. You were scared to get some of these tests done. You were afraid of what you could find, all those things. And I'm glad to hear, I mean, that was what I was hoping, is you were going to take this time as an opportunity to go figure it out, and I'm glad you can
always result to the worst, like I was that day, just because of how bad I felt, it's like, when you're a professional athlete, you have these expectations on yourself and people have expectations of you as well. So when you're not, living up to those expectations, that's hard on you. And then that something's not right, but you always like, I'm a professional athlete. I should be healthy. I should be this, I should be that. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't. And, it's just always a scary thing. And, you don't want to hear something that you don't want to hear, but it's nothing to elaborate. It's nothing that, like we were talking about, is nothing extreme. It's very, very easily curable.
But it's fear of the unknown, right? I mean, that's what you were scared of that morning
we were talking about stomach problems. Well, it's just H. pylori. It's a stomach bacteria. So it's a high case of it. So like, it's really taken a toll on me. And then the other thing is somehow, I mean, obviously we live in Florida and stuff like that. And I have some mold exposure of some sort. And that was what was tearing me up. And it could be anywhere, like literally. It could be in my pickup truck or we don't know. So we got to figure that out. But yeah, it's crazy.
How crazy is that, man? But that's so funny that these are kind of the things that you're tracing it back to, because I remember when we were in this discussion that we had at Ironman, I'm like, hey, like we talked about low energy and all these things. And we had talked about, I said, do you know anything about Cooper Webb and his stomach problems? And he had this bacteria and they figured it out and all those things. Now here we are, however many weeks later, and it's kind of the same thing. So I'm so happy to hear that you're going to get a handle on this thing.
It's very positive for me right now. Like
awesome.
It makes me look forward. Like I already start to feel better. So I'm a little more upbeat. I mean, I don't know if you could tell, but I know I'm a little more upbeat and energetic.
Yeah.
And that's me, and that's where I think that I think it's just I'm going to end the year on a high note. And I know that. I know how to ride a four-wheeler. It's just about staying in a little bit of shape, in the next 3 weeks, just kind of dig and just be ready to go to Pleasure Valley. And then I'm going to spend a lot of time at Briarcliff in between Pleasure Valley and then Briarcliff National. So, and I had a great year there last year and I look to do the same again. So.
Yeah. Well, I love to hear that, man. I can't wait to see you back on the racetrack. And
thank you.
And I just so much positivity. I could hear it in your voice. So to hear more about it, man, I love that. So yeah, can't wait to see that. But let's kind of get into the main thing we're going to talk about here tonight. And that's the action at Budds Creek. We talked before we hit record on this thing that it's sometimes fun when you disconnect a little bit from the racer itself and the highs and lows of being an athlete in the AMA ATV Pro class, and kind of a different vibe when you're there as, an innocent bystander, just there to enjoy the weekend and the festivities and all those things. And it sounded like you had a blast over the course of the weekend, pal. It sounded like your trip out there was an enjoyable one.
Absolutely. Yeah. So originally, like I wanted to come to the race, and I've been helping JJ Launderville out a little bit, and he came down this winter and came down in between Edgeconi and Ironman. He came down in between then, so I've been helping him and stuff like that. And I was just like, hey, like Jeremy, can I come up and help JJ? Like I really want to be a part of y'all's weekend and be a part of the race too, but I kind of wanted to be a riding coach or, stuff like that for JJ, but it wasn't just for JJ. I actually found myself in deep in the pro class. Like the pros came out and I'm watching qualifying and I'm like, I'm in, like I'm all in.
That's why I texted you that morning and I'm like, man, I'd love to have you on the review pod. Like
I was all in, dude.
Then to think about you being that all in on watching it, like that's perfect for me. That's perfect for the listeners here.
So as it's so weird as a competitor because weird as a racer, a lot of my friends are my competitors. So Brandon, Joel, Adam, Ulrich, like there was, those couple guys. Like I've watched Joel. Joel's the best, one of the best ever. We can all agree with that. He's the fastest dude on the planet. But it was funny. The first qualifier, he goes out and I'm watching him. I'm like, there's the off camber there before you go up the hill towards the sign up booth. The big off camber and a big hill. And he was going to the outside and the bike was dogging a little bit. He was holding the rear brake a little too long. And I just knew it. And I come off, I'm like, dude, your gearing's off. That corner, you're digging the brake too much because you're in between gears, and he's like, yeah, we're going to a 39-2 sprocket now. And it was just funny because obviously, he's doing it. Like I'm just a spectator at that point. And I'm over here trying to tell the fastest dude on the planet to change his gearing. Probably looked at me at first like I was an idiot, but it was just, I was just engulfed in that. And then, I helped Brandon out some, like the first moto. He had a little bit of, from what I seen, is a little bit of, some stuff going on with his bike. And I went over there and I was like, hey, I think, we should do this, and this. And he did it. And when I was the second moto, I was like, dude, it was so much better. So it was just cool. Like that was the highlight of my weekend, when JJ2 was a lot of fun.
Well, I hope that you're racing the pro class for a number of years yet, especially if you figure some stuff out with your health and all these things.
If I can go perform, man, like that's obviously I still want to do it. But yeah, I want to. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, man. I hope that you're doing it long enough for your little girl to remember, dad racing as a pro. Like, I hope that that's the thing, but maybe you're getting a glimpse into what the next stage looks like here.
Not too bad. It's really not. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Obviously, like just because I've had a long career where I rode injured and I've rode, like I was talking to Jeremy Launderville about it on the way to dinner, I think Saturday night. And I was like, man, I'm looking at the positives and I'm thankful because I'm thankful I may not be the best, but I've been one of the best for 13 years, and I've had a long, pretty successful career. Depends on who you ask, but to me, I realized that I have, I'm very grateful and I've been very fortunate to ride for 13 years and miss not that many races considering. No. So right now, like, I was like, it's okay. Like it's okay. Like you're 31, dude. Like you had to jump off your bike 20 feet from the air going 45 miles an hour and you'd have a broken bone in your foot. You're going to be fine. Kind of thing. Like you could have had both legs like in half. Like it was bad. So, I was like, I've had a long, good career. So right now it's been pretty cool, man, to take a step back. And obviously, like I said, Budds Creek, just, it was so weird how all in I was on watching and technique and bike setup and stuff that I don't get to see.
Dude, you never get to see it from that perspective at all. You never get to watch them other guys. Like, you know what I mean? It just,
I've seen some stuff and I'm like, okay. I think it made me better. It literally, like I may go back and get back on the bike and maybe better than I was before because of just watching these guys on the track. Brandon's technique is phenomenal. That kid's has such good control of that bike. And obviously Joel's unreal. Like, in qualifying, those guys are going back and forth, but in the motos, man, Joel just was doing some things and he's just so good at making the best of the track, middle of the moto, and like doing things that he wasn't doing at the beginning and getting better. And it was just impressive to watch, man. It was really fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, that's good. We'll dig into it more here, but yeah, I too, even just on a basic level, like I think Budds Creek is a rad ass track. I think it's super cool. The way that, you race up and down the hills, you're basically in a big, kind of almost an amphitheater, almost the way you race down and race up all the way around this thing. I was just out there for the Quadapalooza weekend and we did the live show out there and all those things. So I was super stoked that the weekend you guys had awesome weather. Like it looked like it was just awesome. I loved how the track came in and, there was a little bit of rough stuff going on, some technical stuff. The blue groove came up a little bit. I just love to see all that. So seemed like it was an awesome weekend there. Track was gorgeous, but different for you to not have the helmet on, but I would assume watching qualifying, and you kind of elaborated this on already a little bit, but even just watching qualifying, how good of the competition was, especially at the top, the competitive juices had to be flowing a little bit, I would think, even though the helmet wasn't on, because we saw some great racing all day. We really did. But the battle at the top spot in qualifying might have been the most fun to watch battle of the entire weekend, man. The way that Brandon and Joel went, back and forth a little bit, especially that second qualifier battling for the pole position there, man. That was fun.
Yeah, it was. It was impressive to watch. Like I was really impressed with Brandon. I was. And, I spent a lot of time with him this winter. I spent a lot of time with him and I got my butt whooped a lot this winter by him, so like, I know he's a really good rider and, it was fun to watch him battle. I mean, the champ, to go that guy's speed, let alone lap after lap, is impressive. So like, it was super fun to watch. And I was, I had my phone up and I'm watching, I'm like, all right, Brandon's on a heater and they come across and bam, 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 back and forth. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So, and then Joel, of course, Joel just couldn't let him have it. Joel clicks it off at the end, man. And it was just super impressive. Like that bike is so hooked up and it's so good for him, man. So I give Impact Solutions and this Elka shocks. Like I'm sorry, but there's no shock out there right now that's touching that. I'm just, that's not biased. That's just plain and simple. That kid's bike is working phenomenal. Like and it's him too, like him setting up his machine. So he's just really good at that. He's gotten really good in his older age of how he likes that bike set up. And I think that his bike was the reason why he beat Brandon. In all honesty, it's Joel. He's he is the greatest. He's really good. He would probably beat him on 2x4s, but that bike made it so much easier for him to go around that track, man. It was some stuff that I seen that I was just like, I run those shocks and mine. I'm like, I don't do that, but it's just him. It's how he likes his bike set up. His bike set up good. And
it was just what he wants. And
oh yeah, it was super impressive. Like the front of the bike seemed really slow rebound, wasn't super reactive through those. There was a lot of choppy stuff coming in the corners, and that bike never back and forth, side to side, anything. And he was keeping it a gear high, and his roll speed was impeccable. So he was rolling through those, and the bike was handling so well through there that he was just eating those guys up in the roll speed. Really, that last bit at the corner going, 2 mile an hour faster or 3 miles an hour faster than those guys, because their bikes were kind of beating him up, and his bike never moved. But I think it was the higher gear too that allowed the bike to keep rolling and have momentum into the corner. And he's good at dragging his rear brake to the corners as well. Like I've never seen anybody do it like him. So it was just super impressive to watch and see 4 different times on the track. Like I said, it's got to make me better, because I've seen some stuff that was just really impressive.
Like, oh, that's how he does that kind of thing. Yeah.
And it's just how his roll speed was, man. Like it was just wicked, man. There's the tabletop in the front before like it dropped. So pretty much right before the big hill I was talking about.
Yeah. Where you drop down, go left.
The dirt bike finish line,
finish line. I call that the finish line. Yeah.
Yes, I did too. And I was corrected multiple times this weekend. So that finish line, and there's that left-hander before you drop into the little gully there.
Yeah.
He'd go, it was just nuts. 2 bike lengths, boom. Because his bike roll speed was so good, the bike went never went. It just and he'd drop in there. Bike didn't hit the ground. It was just that I know if it was doing it in that section that I could see, that it was doing it everywhere else 2-3 bike lengths as well. So it was really cool to see, and it was a lot of fun to watch for sure.
It was interesting, and it was fun to hear you kind of give a glimpse into the behind the scenes of that first qualifier, because when do we not see Joel at the top of a qualifier until the very bitter end? So you kind of fill us in that there's some gearing changes and line choice and whatever there. And then, qualifier 2 comes out, and Brandon, goes to the top, and Joel goes to the top, and then Brandon goes to the top. I mean, if we're 2 minutes less, right, if the session is 2 minutes shorter, Brandon's probably fast qualifier, but Joel does it again at the 11th hour. Just like you said, he wasn't going to let him have it. And it kind of gave us a glimpse into what I thought was maybe going to be a super competitive day in the motos. And not that it wasn't, but Joel would, spoiler, Joel would go on to flex his muscles in the motos or whatever. But we can kind of start from the jump on the motos here. So Moto 1, Bryce Ford kicks off the moto by flipping down the start straight.
They had a little better on him, and he wasn't letting off, and it literally stopped the front tire. It was it was wild.
Yeah, it happened. That happened to me once years ago in the pro class. I think maybe my last year as a pro, just out of the gate, same thing, just out of the gate, a few bike lengths, and that's open wheel racing, right? Like you touch tires and that's what can happen. And the dude goes on his lid, and I'm thinking, okay, so this is going to get interesting, maybe points wise or whatever for the day here. And he's on his head right out of the gate, didn't even get to the first corner. He's already off the quad. So bad start for Bryce, obviously. And it was the polar opposite for his, kind of rival, if you want to call him his rival, Brandon Hogue, fast in qualifying, gets the whole shot in the first moto. And you're kind of interested into what's going to go on here points wise. We know those two are battling for second in points. And Brandon comes out. He's got a bunch of momentum from qualifying, rips the whole shot, and he's going to lead the first couple laps here of the moto, and kind of fun to see. But just like you said with Joel, that he's so one with that bike is so good. And the way that he had that line, that section dialed, what I would call before the finish line, but I get that that's not the finish line, but that roller section around the corner, the way that Joel was able to grease that on the inside and get to the inside of Brandon, like that was pass of the year.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
There was no room. There was no room to make that pass, and he did it.
No. And that's what the funny part was, is like when he was behind Brandon, and like he was missing his shift coming down through there before that finish line table. So he's like from the rollers, like on the box all the way up to this thing. And after the race, I talked to him, I was like, dude, You gonna shift that thing or what? You wait till you get around him to shift up. He's like, I kept missing my shift, just messing around. But it was like he started to do double. So you'd go around. There was an inside hump before there was an extra inside hump on the inside.
Yep.
But he was going way out and going just on the outside of that hump and out of the ruts from the outside and doubling in and doubling the next one and doubling and launching. The last one was a single and launching over all the bumps and all the kickers that Brandon didn't know that line yet. And or maybe he didn't yet, but he started it at like 4 laps in, just like I said, he knows how to just pick it up, and he found this thing and it was like, he greased that. And I was just like, me and Damian Hubert and a few of us were up there. And I was like, did you see that? And unfortunately for Brandon, love you, Brandon, but he went by him like he was sitting still because he just greased it so good and has so much momentum and went right by him. And I was just like, that didn't just happen. That's not a pat. The passing point's in the whoops, not after them. I was just like, wow, that was impressive. I think Brandon made a little mistake. He did. He hit the last single. He wheelied into it and launched right, like kind of outside of the track, which gave Jewel the run, but I was like that. Yeah, it was ridiculous, man.
But that was not a place for a pass to be made, and Joel made it
pass
happen.
Happens in it. Like they have because there was an inside and outside. So if you're going to pass, you do them in it. And by the time you're out, the pass is already made. Not as you're coming right before you drop down, he makes the pass and has this gnarly run and clicks fourth like he wasn't doing before. But it was funny. We had that conversation. And it was just, it was cool.
Yeah, that was epic moment for sure. Like I said, pass of the year for me. Dude, we haven't mentioned yet, but was fast in qualifying, inside and around the top 5 the whole time there after missing the last few races with some pretty substantial injuries himself. Then he comes out in the motos and looks like he never left, dude. The top 5 in this moto early in Moto 1 was Westley Wolfe, man. And like, I remember I didn't get wind that he was going to even give it a go this weekend. And dude shows up in qualifying. Like first I noticed he's 4th, and now here he is in Moto 1 running top 5. And spoiler again, he's going to be top 5 all day. And yeah, Westley Wolfe, man, I'll give you an opportunity to talk on it, but dude is a beast. Like looks like he just never missed any time.
No, he looked really good. I was impressed with it for sure. I talked to Wesley before the race, and I'm like, yeah, I know he lives right down the road, but I had a weird feeling. I'm like, he's racing. Like I just had this, Wesley's like me. Like if you're mostly healed, he's going to give it a go. And he seemed like he was. He's riding around on the e-bike. And I was talking to him before the race. I'm like, yeah. I was like, so you ready for the weekend? He's like, I'm not racing. I'm like, okay. Like, yeah, right. Like you could tell he was like, I'm not racing. Yeah. I'm like, okay. All right. But yeah, he rode good, man. Like I was impressed with him. And as we get older and I'm more, I hang around that guy. I have a lot of respect for him for what he does. He goes to work all the time and he's doing this thing like that. And yeah, I like that guy a lot. And it's impressive that he came off after 7 weeks, I think. That's pretty much what I'm gonna be. If I don't go finish top 5 at Pleasure Valley, then I'm screwed. But yeah, he's at 7 weeks off the bike and gets on there. And yeah, it looks like he didn't skip a beat. I think the second moto, me and his dad were up on the top there, right at that finish line tabletop.
Okay.
And we were watching and he was laughing. I was like, yeah, that boy's gas tank's empty. He's like, oh, it's empty. I was like, we were just joking. Cause obviously being off the bike for 7 weeks, man, that's tough to go out there and do those pro motos. So
there's no substitute for riding. Yeah.
No, man. And it was a little funny. We were both up there just, crap talking Wesley a little bit.
I really enjoy those guys. I enjoy his crew and his family and stuff. I know Wesley.
Good people.
Yeah, absolutely. Wesley, it's like pulling teeth to get him on the show here. Fingers crossed. We're like, we might get him at the end of this episode. So fingers crossed.
I think he's opening it up in his older age,
Yeah, I think so too. He talked to me a little bit at Ironman. I kind of greased him up.
You got some words out of him?
Oh yeah. So hopefully we can get him on the show here. But man, I've been really impressed. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of speak on him a little bit. And he's one of those dudes, man, that I'm like,
he's got that dog in him.
Like he's one of those guys, like you meet some people sometimes. We've been around the sport long enough to know a zillion people. And there's just some dudes that you're like, yeah, like every time that dude is going to be on his machine or on his e-bike or running in the pits or whatever, like, that guy's going to go like the extra mile. And those are the kind of guys where it's like, yeah, I don't really want to have to race that guy, you know?
No, and I have had to, in 2021, man, we raced probably we were like our main competition. It was like me and Bryce were the ones duking out. So, we had some really good battles that year, and I think that created a little bit more of a respect factor for us,
For sure.
I was just like, how Wesley rides. I was like, man, I ain't getting near that guy. Like, now, but it's a little bit better now for sure. But after that 2021, I had no choice. I was around him all the time,
Yeah.
So, we created a little bit better friendship since then. And I think he has a lot of respect for me, and I have a lot of respect for him. So I was impressed, man. Like I said, I got to go get a top 5. I at least got to compete with him a little bit but 2 races under his belt, so I have an excuse.
There you go. Well, looking at somebody that's earlier in their racing career here, rookie Mason Jackson, he's been on fire, man. He took a dirt sample there in the first moto, so that hurt his overall score on the day a little bit. We'll get into him a little bit more as we go here. But meanwhile, Bryce Ford, he was making quite the comeback at this point. He crawled all the way back from that hole shot crash to inside the top 5 in just 6 laps. So that was super impressive for him. Then the GNCC community was proud here at this point in the moto, as John Glada and Grayson Eller ran inside the top 10. They were 9th and 10th respectively. And Glada kept moving forward all day long. So we'll talk about his day a little bit more as we go here too. But at the finish, it was Joel Hetrick. He won the moto by 11 plus seconds. Brandon Hogue ends up 2nd, Lindquist 3rd, a strong 3rd. We haven't touched on him yet, but strong 3rd for Lindquist. And he kind of ran his own race there in 3rd, which isn't always the easiest thing to do. But Max has been on a heater. It came in with 2 podiums coming into this one, strong in that first moto there. And Jeffrey, I'll let you jump in here, but Max was really impressive on the day there. We'll get into the rest of his day, but 3rd in that first moto, man, you can never sleep on a podium moto in the pro class.
No, for sure. I mean, Max is a really good rider, man. I like Max a lot. We have a lot of respect for each other. And
we'll get right back to the show, but now a word from our sponsors. And thank you for listening to these ads. Without these great companies, none of this would be possible. Show your support for the people who support us. The official tire choice of Digging Deep, CST tires are the choice of ATV racing's elite on the track, in the woods, and every other terrain. CST tires swept the ATV racing world in 2022 as Joel Hetrick, Bryson Neal, and Bo Barron rode their Pulse MXR and Pulse HT tires to an ATV Pro Motocross title, GNCC XC1 Pro title, and 10th ATV Pro Works Racing title, respectively. Led by champion Joel Hetrick and podium contenders Bryce Ford, Jeffrey Rastrelli, and Nick Janusa, CST's Pulse MXR tire is the most trusted tire in ATV motocross today. Available in soft and standard compounds, the Pulse MXR offers the highest level of traction, most predictable cornering, and superior wear characteristics when compared to the competition. And did I mention they have a contingency program as well? Visit shop.csttires.com to join the CST takeover today, or prepare to be beat by someone who did. The best of the best choose CST. Do you? You know we're Team Blue Crew here at the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, as the Yamaha YFZ450R is the official ATV of Digging Deep. In a move started by 8-time ATVMX Pro Class National Champion Chad Wienen, who with his next championship will become the winningest champion in ATV motocross history, we are living in ATV racing's YFZ450R era. Alongside Wienen, 7-time GNCC XC1 Pro ATV National Champion Walker Fowler welcomed a pair of new champions to the Yamaha Champions Club, as the podium-proven Yamaha YFZ450R proved to be the winning choice for Joel Hetrick and Bryson Neal. This unprecedented success for the YFZ450R, its unrivaled quality and performance, and the clear fact that Yamaha is the leading OEM supporter of ATV racing has resulted in a complete Yamaha takeover within the sport quad market. Evident by the continuation of Yamaha's Blue Crew Racer Support Program, Yamaha riders will once again cash in on payout and prize opportunities in 2023, including a chance to win a brand new YFZ450R. For more info, head over to YamahaBlueCrew.com. Follow Yamaha Outdoors, as well as the new Blue Crew official channel on social media, and check out Yamaha's full proven off-road lineup at YamahaOutdoors.com today. SSI Decals, your way. SSI Decals sets the standard with the best looking decals, graphics kits, and vinyl wraps in the industry. Established in 1947, SSI took shape as an offshoot of their parent company by doing a little work for local pro Chad Wienen. Nearly 2 decades later, and fueled by a passion for ATVs, the company has flourished into one of ATV Moto's most recognized brands. From ATV Motocross, SSI has expanded into graphics and design work for top racers in GNCC, Works Racing, Pro Motocross and Supercross, off-road, and more, headlined by 8-time world champion top fuel drag racer Clay Milligan. Whether your project is big or small, SSI Decals will make your identity stick. Get started today at ssidecals.com and use code DIGGINGDEEP10 for 10% off at checkout. Things are about to get sick. The Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast is brought to you in part by DID and their wide range of championship-winning chains. From the street to the track and everywhere in between, DID chains are designed to give you the optimal riding experience with great performance and increased chain life. Consistent to the core, pick up your box of reliability today. DID, what drives you?
We are proud to be partnered with Namura Technologies. For over 20 years, Namura has pushed the limit of value and reliability in the ATV and side-by-side market. Covering more applications than anyone in the industry, Namura's full line of cast and forged pistons, connecting rods, gasket kits, and industry-leading top-end repair kits and more have led to higher overall engine performance for your machine. Visit your local dealer or online at www.namura.com and follow along on Instagram for giveaways and exciting new products in 2023. Namura Technologies, your one-stop shop engine component supplier. We are pleased to be partnered with Bronco ATV and UTV Components. Bronco has been an industry leader in replacement hard parts and accessories for all makes and models for over 15 years. With a catalog that includes a full line of electrical components, engine internals and cylinders, shock and suspension parts, winches, clutch kits, valves, carb kits, bearing kits, and drive chain parts, Bronco is your hard part source for whatever you need, for whatever you ride. Available exclusively through distributors around the world, visit your local dealer or online at broncoatv.com.
For over 150 years, Valvoline has been dedicated to constant improvement and innovation across all disciplines of racing. As a proud member of Team Valvoline for nearly a decade, I have witnessed their unwavering commitment to pushing the boundaries of performance. Valvoline has sponsored some of the greatest names in motorsports, solidifying their position as a powerhouse within the industry. Being a part of this historically great team has been an incredible privilege. When it comes to my equipment, whether it's my daily commuting vehicles, race quads, or anything in between, I trust nothing but Valvoline. Their range of products and lubricants consistently deliver increased horsepower, durability, and engine life. I'm excited to announce Valvoline's breakthrough in performance, Valvoline Ultimate Power Sports. With up to 8 times stronger rust protection and 50% better wear protection, this cutting-edge formula ensures your ATV's engine runs smoother and longer for the ultimate ride. Tackle rugged terrains with confidence knowing your ATV's engine is equipped with the best protection available. Ready to experience the next level of performance? Head over to shop.valvolineglobal.com and use code DIGGINGDEEP10 at checkout to unlock an exclusive 10% off on your purchase. Don't miss out on this limited time offer to enhance your ATV's performance with Valvoline's Ultimate Power Sports engine oil.
That speed, Brandon and Joel's speed at the beginning of the moto, it was like, whoa, like, yeah. Okay. Like and this is no way an offensive. Like, he's like, I got work to do. And that's as a racer, like, I know I would say the same thing. He did finish third, great moto for him, but those two guys really just had some raw speed in me in that moto. So like, I would have felt for him because I've probably been in the same position, guarantee it. But like I said, he rode great, but I think that's just what happened. Like, those guys just had a lot of speed and I think he's going to be going home right now and looking for that. I think that with fitness and stuff like that, but I think he's going to be going home and look for that because I think that made him not mentally struggle, but just he had that on his mind, and it's like, it wears on you. And it maybe took a more toll on him than even, anybody would say. Cause like I said, as a racer, like, we don't want to admit that stuff, but as right. I'm an open book right now, I can talk about it. I'm not out there, but like, it happens to all of us, man. You get that pace and it's like, you're shocked by it. And it's just, it'll put you in like a mode that you're just like, man, like, I ain't got it today, You're riding phenomenal. Like I said, he rode great.
He did.
Like, I was watching him. He was smooth. He's max. And I'm just like, it's just like I don't know. It's frustrating. Those days are frustrating. That's what I'm kind of getting at.
You're speaking from experience a little bit.
Man, it's the worst when you're like, I just know he felt like he was riding good. I know he felt like it. Like he looked smooth. He was dialed. Like I know he probably felt great. And it's just, that those guys are just like, all right, well, clicking them off. And it's just like, boop.
But at the same time, I said the same thing to your dad at Ironman after the first moto. I said, hell yeah, top 3, go do it again, because I was hoping for a overall podium there for you. And your dad basically gave me like, yeah, we got work to do. And I'm like,
it's like he's
I'm like, yeah, you got a podium though. Yeah.
He's still his ass kid, Cody. Sorry. I mean, I did, I got that kind of given to me to Brandon, like I know I did. Brandon broke and I was in fourth. I was getting fourth that moto for sure. There was no catching him. I kind of kept the speed, like they kind of got me at the beginning and then everybody kind of settled in pace. And I was able to keep that pace, but I wasn't going to catch him and pass him. So yeah, he knew. But
hey, at the same time though, if third is a moto you're not stoked about, like third is third. Exactly. So
that's why I'm not. And like I said, for Max, I hope he doesn't take that the wrong way. I'm just talking as an athlete that it's tough. So. Yeah, great riding from Max. Great with 3-4.
Yeah, 3-4 absolutely
is absolutely good and stoked for him. Stoked for him.
Yeah. So let's finish the rundown. First moto here. That was your top 3. Bryce Ford finished fourth. He raced up to fourth and kind of comeback ride there from that crash there at the beginning. So that was good for him. Westley Wolfe ended up 5th. Kevin Sarr 6th. Joe Chambers, what a ride for him, 7th. I'll let you talk about him here in a little while. John Glotta, GNCC guy, ends up 8th. Cody Ford 9th. Grayson Eller, top 10 for him. Marshall Smith 11th. Mason Jackson 12th after that wreck earlier in the moto. And Adam Ulrich, who's been solid all season long, but only made 3 laps in this one. So let's quicken this up a little bit. We'll get to Moto 2 here. Joel Hetrick ripped the whole shot and set sail on a day where in qualifying it looked so competitive. Things look so competitive in qualifying, but Joel wouldn't be challenged in the motos there. Max Lindquist, we just talked about him. He got another great start, coming out second in the second moto there. And the first half of this race, really, the first half of that second moto, like you were just saying, the pace was crazy. The way that those dudes were pushing the pace and battling, that battle between basically that top, second through fourth. It was Max, Bryce Ford, and Brandon Hogue. They all had an awesome race going on there. And that was really fun to watch, Jeffrey, watching those guys push the pace. And eventually they would get by Max and Max would fall to fourth. We just talked about that. But the way that those two were pushing the pace, man, that was that had to feel like a lot, when that was behind you. But at the same time, it was sure fun to watch from the sidelines.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and to touch on Bryce, like a super impressed with him this year, man. Everybody's got an opinion about the kid, but you can't deny hard work. Like you can't deny it. You do whatever you want. You say whatever you want. I mean, the kid's absolutely flying. Bike's awesome. Baldwin did a good job with that motor, and obviously Jay with the Impact Solutions with the Elka Shock. So he's got a good program going, man. So he's riding really good, and that pace that he's been riding at this year is very impressive.
And he's been consistent.
The most consistent he's ever been, for sure. So like what it's last year, me and him were. It seems like ever since not his rookie year, because I was kind of out, but since 2021 we battled. At every race, it was me and him. 2022, same thing. Battled every race. We battled 21, 22, and 23. Not much for the championship, but third in championship for 21, 22, and then 23. Like he just got the better of me every dang time, and I was on him every dang time, but I could not beat that kid last year. And I was like, I was proving a point this year to come out and whoop him, and he just absolutely put a smackdown on me. So kudos to him. Like I'm impressed with him. Super impressed. And he rode really well. That's the first moto, having to come back from a wreck like that and putting all your effort in, all your, putting everything you got out there to get back to where you need to be. Yep. I think the most veteran choice that I've ever seen him make is he chilled out. Once he got to that spot, he's like, all right, well, save it. We got in a second moto to go to. So that was what the most impressive thing was for me, for Bryce. He realized, hey man, like I'm not going to catch these guys. I should definitely calm down, save it, and go attack the second moto. And look what happened. And he did that, going 4-2. So it was impressive for sure.
And I'd love to watch that battle there, knowing kind of what was going on in the overall points for the day situation, because it was a battle for the podium spots. All 3 of those guys, Max comes up
being
second.
In fourth was making me nervous because it was either a second or a nothing, with how that was stacking up. So it was definitely crazy.
Exactly. Especially with Max, you think where Max's mental space would have been. He gets third in the first moto. He comes out second. He's running second. Obviously, you're thinking overall podium at that point. And that's what made the race so fun, is every one of those dudes was trying to get a podium spot and maybe be second or for sure third. And the way that they battled, you could tell that the pace, like Max fought his ass off. So credit to Max. And we talked about him, obviously maybe not being the day that he wanted or whatever, obviously wanted to be on the podium there. But he freaking fought his tail off to fend those guys off for as long as he could. So that battle for podium position, that was really fun to watch. But eventually Ford gets by, Hogue gets by, and that ends up, kind of being how that's all going to play out there. And then finishing out the top 5 at the start of the race, there was Westley Wolfe, who came off the couch, spent the entire day in the top 5, which was amazing. We got into that a little bit. So we saw a little blue groove coming up, especially in the second moto. Jeffrey, I said earlier, I love to see a little blue groove. We don't see that with these racetracks very often.
I was so jealous.
Yeah, because that's your style of racetrack.
Slick, buddy. Like, I love it. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, but I love to see that. We don't see that a ton anymore. So to see a little bit of that, I was super stoked about that. And as we see that, Joel Hetrick was stretching his lead a little bit out front, and the focus shifted to the middle of the pack, where Mason Jackson was rebounding from a crash. He was running 6th after that crash in the first moto there. His counterpart, who's always basically side by side with the guy, Kevin Saar, he's always close. He ran 7th, and GNCC specialist John Glotta ran 8th again in this moto. So at the finish, we saw the highly contested battle there inside the top 5 at the beginning, but it was pretty kind of a snoozer out front for Joel Hetrick. Perfect season continues as he wins Moto 2 in the overall at Budds Creek. And Jeffrey, it's hard to believe that this guy could just be 8 motos away from possibly the first ever perfect season in the history of professional ATV motocross, pal. But it's hard to believe that we're this far into the season already. Not hard to believe that this guy's putting together this prolific run. I mean, I'm not surprised by that part, but the fact that we are like this, I'm sure he's to the point where he doesn't want to hear the perfect season thing. He doesn't want to jinx it and all those things. I'm sure that that's the case, but we are getting really close to this thing possibly happening here.
Yep. I think the only thing that's going to stop him is a little bit of weather. And that's the only way. My personal opinion. I mean, the guy's just, he's on a different level, and he's riding with confidence, but he's riding it. I mean, it's almost like easy for him. And that's dangerous. That's not good for the rest of us. I mean, the bike, he just seems like he's one with it, and it's really tough to, it's tough to beat somebody when they are on that much of a high horse too. I mean, he shows up and he knows it, he just knows, he gets a whole shot or not. I'm going to go to the front and I'll win this. No problem. That's how he was at Budds Creek, the first moto. He sat there behind Brandon, let Brandon ride a few laps in front of him. And then boom, boom, boom. And he just starts clicking away. I was just mind blown by it, because you just see the maturity. I mean, the dude's now 31 like me, and it's not the old Joel. He's just so much better than I think we ever thought he could be. I mean, he's really impressive right now. So kudos to that guy, man. Kudos to that guy.
Yeah, I said on last week's show, like, the speed thing was never obviously in question for freaking 15 years or whatever, but
rookie year pro, he went 1-1 at Unadilla.
Yeah, exactly. So the speed thing,
the dude beat him by 20 seconds. It was just disgusting. And the bike, the bike didn't even move. That the shocks were so stiff, and his rear end had no dropout. Like, this bike was like it was like 2x4s, dude. I swear to God, he was riding this thing. He was barely hanging on, and he smoked him. And I was like, I gotta race this guy like
for the rest of my life.
dude. I was just like, what the hell? I mean, he was winning Pro-Am on a Kawasaki. No offense to a Kawasaki, but I mean, come on, that thing had like 30 horsepower.
Yeah, man.
But it was never a question of speed. I mean,
no, but the fact that he's the fact that he figured it out to the point where he never misses a beat. Like, he's going fastest dude on earth speed, and he doesn't put the bike in a bad position or the wrong position or get sideways or anything like that on an entire weekend. Like, it's nuts.
He's a stout little guy too. I don't know if you ever grab a hold of that guy. Don't, because he's a stout dude. Like, he's like, I always say a brick shit house, as my dad always used to say.
Yeah.
Like, he's a little brick shit house, dude. He's so strong. And for a little guy like that on there, you have to be, but
dude, and there's a fiery competitor inside there too.
he's a brick shit house. And like, you could see it on the bike. Like something gets out of whack. He's never out of tune, never out of whack. Like if he's off the bike, he probably meant to be that way to save a mistake or something like that. But what he's so good at is his late charge into a corner, and like he can like grab brake. If he's going a little too fast, he could grab front brake and then still make it, or drag a little rear. It's something that none of us are really doing. Like we don't have, like, if we're coming too fast, we're like, oh, we're coming in too fast. No, like this guy has that last minute reaction to like, and still make that thing unbelievable. It's something that I've never seen before. I watch a lot of footage. Like I got a race, I want to beat him, but I watch a lot of footage and I'm just like, dude, like my brain's like, like lagging while his is like, bing, bing, like, and he's gone. I'm like, what? I don't even know what happened. So it's just, he's so good, man. And I'm blowing his head up right now, but that's just what I see. It's just the truth. And same with Brandon. Brandon's getting there though. Bryce is getting there. Like these guys they're getting there, but they still got some work to do. Yeah. Joel's an alien. There's nothing left to say about the guy. We say it every week. That's what we say. Dude's just he's just nutty, dude. He's an absolute nut. I don't know what it must be like we've all went to local races and been obviously clearly the guy, and you're going to win, and you're going to, it's not even really that fun to win because you're going to smoke everybody, and then you smoke everybody. And I don't know what it must be like to do that when you're at the very top level of the class. The crop. Yeah. He's the crop, and he's just dusting us. But yeah, you're doing it at an ATV Motocross National, and this is for all the marbles, and this is your job and all these things. And you're still going like, I got it. I don't. Like Chad, how Chad felt all the years. It's like whatever, man, just like whatever. Like it's just funny because like I was always the guy that it was a struggle. I always struggle, and it's like, and to him makes it look so easy. Like it's not like he's eating some special or he's doing this special. The guy's so normal. Yeah, I know. It almost makes you mad how normal he is. You know what I mean? And he's just an animal. Like he's a normal guy, man. Yeah, you put him in front of you and you talk to him and you're like, that's a normal dude, but he's not a normal dude. Like he's not at all a normal dude. So it's wild, man. Yeah, so it's crazy. The dark cloud is lifted as Brandon Hogue returned to the podium, back-to-back heartbreak weeks for him. Second overall on the day. We talked about him a good share here in the episode already. So 2-3 scores for him. That had to feel good for Brandon. Second overall on the day, gets back on the podium. Bryce Ford, we talked about him too. He goes 4-2 on the day. Solid second moto there. Rebounded in the first moto after that crash. Third overall for him, and salvaged truly a great day, honestly, for him, because you look at the points now, and even after flipping down the whole shot there in the first moto, Bryce is damn near a moto up in the standings on the rest of the field there. He's P2. Max Lindquist, we talked about him, podiumed in Moto 1, fought his tail off in Moto 2. I know he wanted a third consecutive podium, but he ends up fourth overall on the day, and now we're heading to a track, his home, we would call our home track here in Wisconsin, coming up to Illinois to Sunset Ridge. So he's going to be a rider to watch there. Westley Wolfe breaks his collarbone, I believe, his shoulder blade as well. I believe that's what he told me. And he was all busted up, comes back, no big deal, goes 5-5 on the day, fifth overall. Hopefully we end this episode by talking to him. My guy, Kevin Saar, so cool that he and Max were on the shirts there, featured on the shirts, because those were the two pros that showed up for our event there a couple weeks ago. So I don't know if that was a head, kind of a tip of the cap to those guys for showing up or not, but cool. And I had said to Kevin, I said, if you get on I'm pretty sure, I said, where did you finish in points last year? And he said, whatever. He said ninth or whatever he ended up finishing in points. And I said, well, that should mean that you get on a shirt. Like when I was a pro, you finish in the top 10, you're automatically on a shirt. And he had said how much he had hoped that was going to happen. So really remind me of that. I haven't been on one yet. So I'm gonna have to make some text messages. Yeah, you're gonna have to. Yeah, you got to bring that to somebody's attention. But yeah, super cool for Kevin. And then he posted in the last couple of days about how cool it was that he was on the shirt. And yeah, I kind of gave him a little "I told you so" message. And yeah, I know that he was happy with that. So solid weekend for him. 6-7 in the moto, 6th overall. Solid weekend for Kevin Saar. I really like that guy. GNCC XC1 Pro John Galata comes out to the ATV Motocross Nationals for the first time this year.
here. This is a Woods racer for all of our listeners here. This is a Woods guy and gets 7th overall, wins his tier in ATV Fantasy. And Jeffrey, I don't know what there is to say about this guy other than the fact that name another guy that can show up unannounced and finish 7th in the pro class, man. It's pretty freaking impressive. Like he's quite the rider.
Yeah, he is for sure. Like it was funny. I had a conversation with him a little bit, and he was like, "Man, I haven't felt that good on a quad in a long time." And he's like, "I'm signing up for Pro-Am." I think it was Sunday morning, or he's like, "I'm going out for Pro-Am." I'm like, "Man, well, how you rode yesterday? I mean, you should be battling for the top spot." And I think his motor let go.
Is that what happened? I saw him on the entry list.
I think that's what happened.
Got it.
But heck, I mean, he probably hasn't. They probably haven't done any work to it. He probably just rolled the thing out of the trailer and still the same oil from Etchicani. I don't know where he rode last, but maybe that was Grayson at Etchicani. But
this was his first Motocross National.
So there's no telling when the last time the thing was looked at. He probably just rolled it out of the trailer and sent her down the road. But yeah, he rode really well. It was his endurance was the best part. Like he wasn't super fat, like the fastest guy. Like Chambers and those guys that were ahead of him at the beginning of the race were a little bit faster than him, but he just like a diesel, Yeah.
Surprise. The GNCC guy has endurance.
Yeah. He's diesel, man. Just started clicking off laps and those guys tongues were hanging out and there he goes by him. That's how it was. So yeah, he enjoyed it a lot. He was expressing how much fun he had.
And I had hinted in qualifying that he was going to be a rider to watch because last year, at least once, if not more than once, he ended up being the guy, the winner or whatever you want to call it of his tier in ATV Fantasy. And in qualifying, I'm looking at it and he's like a few seconds a lap off of Chambers' time. Chambers is clearly the guy in that tier of the game. And I'm like, man, I couldn't get myself to pick him, but I wish I would have because he goes on to win the tier. So credit to John Glotta. And I think he may join the end of this episode as well. So stay tuned for that. Another GNCC guy that I'd like to give a shout out to. I wanted to talk to him last year and he ended up being at like Disney World or something after one of these races last year. So yeah, awesome ride for him. Joe Chambers has impressed me all season long. Another 8th overall for this guy, 7.9 on the day, 8th overall, super impressive. He's impressed me all year. I'll give you a chance to talk about your fellow Floridian there, Jeffrey, because Joe Chambers has impressed me. He's surpassed my expectations coming into the year for him as a rookie in the pro class here.
Yeah, he's riding good. Yeah, I'm impressed with Joey. I like Joey. Like his dad, Jeff. Obviously Williams does his motors. So we kind of do, well, I guess not we, but I'm the R&D guy over there. I'm the one that tests everything out and make sure it's hold up. And then they come in and soup in the good stuff. Yeah, no, I'm just messing with him. But he was one of the reasons why I went over there to Williams. So but yeah, no, it's he's a good family, good kid, riding well. I actually told him to make a gearing change after the first moto. Obviously, the finish didn't work out as well I would like of the second moto. But I was like, come over there. I went over there. I was like, you got to change the gearing. That thing's not good. I'm just the racer in me. I'm like that thing's not. It's not good. We got to change it. It'll be so much better. Just do it. You're making a mistake having that gearing on there. Like over there and talking to him. So it was funny. But he's riding good. And I wish he'd come over here and ride with me more often. Maybe I could help him out a little more, make him even go a little bit better and get some training in. But he's been staying over there a little bit on the West Coast and doing his own thing. So I haven't seen much of him this winter. But like I said, good family, riding good. I like those guys. Yeah,
I've been really impressed. I've been impressed by Mason Jackson too. Rookie of the year shoe-in at this point.
Yeah, he's ripping.
Oh, dude. 12-6 on the day. He had that crash in the first moto. We saw him race with you in some motos earlier this year. He ends up 9th overall on this day. But Mason Jackson is the real deal. And he's going to be a top 5 guy. We've seen him finish the top 5 in the motos and overalls this year already. But as this class even fills up and all you guys get back in there and all those things, I mean, Mason Jackson is very much going to be a guy that's in the mix, I think, in this top 5, and that's going to be really fun. Another guy kind of joining your group of podium contenders here, and that's going to be fun.
That'd be good to have him up there, battling with him. I was nothing against him, but I didn't want to be battling with him. That's for sure. I want to be up a little bit further, but So it's so weird because like he has these get offs and he's been having these get offs here and there. They're so weird to me because he's not out of control. Like when he's riding, he seems like he's so in control and doing so well. And then out of nowhere, all of a sudden it's like he's just wadding his brains out. And I'm just like, dude, like, where does this even come from? Like, he looks so good, so in control, riding a gear high, like not like anything crazy. And then like I seen it at Budds Creek. I don't know what happened in that big off camera there before going up the hill, but so he's just flipping like hard. And I'm just like, oh, like how does it? I don't know. It was just crazy because he is riding so good for a rookie, man. And then it's like he's just biting him. It's like but you know how it is. There's a small margin for error, and you make one little mistake, and boom, you're on the ground. So I get it, but at the same time, it's not like how he looks. And what's happening to him, it doesn't, they don't mix. It's just a weird, it's a weird thing.
Well, to be a rookie though, and to be going as fast as he's going, getting some of the finishes he's gotten, man, super, super impressive. So yeah, Mason Jackson,
good family, another good kid.
Awesome.
Spent a lot of time with him the past couple of years, staying up at DJ's, our good buddy from Rocket Design. Stay up there, and they live in the same town, like right there by his shop. So like I ride with him all the time when I'm at DJ's, which is like 4 times a week. I ride there, went golf with him last year or some, and just I have a good relationship with them and Ron. Ron's a really good dude, his dad. So they're a good family, and hey man, he's riding good. It's only going to get better. That's for sure. Unfortunately for us.
I like those guys. So credit to him. Cody Ford, another top 10, 9-10 for 10th overall on this day. He's the foreman, badass there. Grayson Eller, another GNCC guy, returns to ATV Motocross, goes 10-11 for 11th overall. Marshall Smith ends up 12th overall, and Adam Ulrich, bummer day for him. He finished 13th overall. He didn't get all the laps in the first moto, and then I think he got busted up in Pro-Am on Sunday. That's your guy there, Jeffrey. But yeah, not a good weekend for him. But honestly, I've been on every one of these shows. I know that there's not tons of guys in that section of the pro class, not a ton of dudes for Adam to necessarily race every weekend. As some of those guys have fallen off, but I think he's been riding actually pretty well. I think he's been doing all the laps. He races to the finish line. Like, the dude isn't lagging at the end of these motos. I've been on every show saying that Adam's been racing his tail off. So bummer weekend for him, but hopefully he can heal up and get back out there at some point. I don't know what that looks like at this point, but
I think they said like, a couple, I think they're maybe Pleasure Valley, maybe.
Okay.
So like another 4 weeks, maybe. Okay. I think that's what his dad was. I mean, that's what they're hoping. Of course, he's like a racer. They're going to try to probably push it and get back on the bike before it's completely healed. But I like those guys. I help them as much as I can. Gearing changes and setup and stuff like that, and try to give them a little confidence, because I think that's some of his biggest problems is he doesn't have confidence in himself a lot of times. And
the pro class will do that to you.
It does, and I just I wish he did, because I think he would do a lot better if he would just believe,
I think Jeffrey, like, you can give as good of advice as anybody there, because you were a struggling rookie pro too. You were getting beat down as a rookie.
I got 6th, 7th or 8th.
Yeah,
overall.
but the pro class was beating you down though.
Oh, it beat me to death. And then even 2013, my first 2 years were no good. And then in 2014, I got a fast qualifier. I got my first podium. It came around, but
you got to stick with it though. You got to stick with it.
Like it was a brutal first couple of years for sure. So I wish sometimes that people would listen to me a little more, because they think I'm just some 3rd, 4th, 5th place pro guy. But sometimes I have a little bit of knowledge up here in this noggin. I mean, been doing it for a while, and a little bit. Sometimes it's just as easy as just believing in yourself. Yeah, it's that easy, man. You believe, you do the work, you go the race, or you go practice. You're training, you're doing all the stuff. So, you can believe in yourself. It take you a long way. That's what I started doing in 2014 when I started kind of my career coming around. I was believing in myself. So that goes a long way, man.
Yeah, so true. I think you race totally different if you believe you're going to be at the front versus if you believe those guys are going to leave you hanging. So
just trust in what you're doing, just trust in what you could do on a 4-wheeler, because a kid can ride a 4-wheeler. I mean, I've seen Adam I've seen, it's just, I see some days where he's like riding really good and there's other days where he doesn't. And I feel like he just gets beat down a little bit and he needs to stay positive. And it's hard to do because I was never that guy either. And I'm still struggle to stay positive. So like, I know if I'm negative that it transpires into negative things happening or negative finishes, you don't just, so I think that, if I could say that to anybody, any racer, anybody coming up, just you got to believe and think positive thoughts, and that creates positive results. So.
Yeah, well, you heard it here, listeners. That's great advice there from Jeffrey Rastrelli, who's been through it all. Quickly, we need to get out of here, but I do want to quickly go over the top amateur classes. That Pro-Am class, we saw Westley Wolfe. He stole the show on Sunday, did awesome on Saturday, stole the show on Sunday too, leading essentially all the laps, right? Dominating Pro-Am in 1-1 fashion, and let you comment on that. But current points leader, Mason Jackson, he goes 2-2, and Joey Norris joined those guys on the podium, going third overall in the day there. But yeah, Westley Wolfe, man, he showed those guys what top 5 overall speed in the pro class looks like, because that guy came off the couch and put it at the front of Pro-Am there.
Yeah, it was funny. He was on the line for the first qualifier, and like I said, I was helping JJ. So I'm down there, like I wasn't down there. I was like, I'm helping JJ, and Wesley pulls up and was like, he's yelling sandbagger. And he's like this, and I'm like, whatever. But I've been there. So it was pretty crazy. I mean, the Pro-Am class was a pretty good racing, man. It's crazy like that. I don't know. It all depends on the start in that thing, man.
It does, yeah.
Those guys are all really close, and like time qualifying doesn't do it. Like you could be like time qualifying really shows like people have some good speed, but when you get out there in that race, there's a lot of them, man. There's a lot of those guys, and a lot of them are, there is some section like in sections like of speed, but like that middle section, if you start there and you're a front guy, that takes you a long time to get through that middle section of those of the pack, the mid pack riders. So it's tough.
It's hard if you're a front speed guy and you're in the middle of the pack going the speed of those other guys. That front pack is going to get away. That's just how that goes.
It's kind of crazy. Like it's kind of definitely. It's different than, I don't know. I think it's a different level than the pros. I think the pros, the mid pack guys, we can get through pretty quickly and get to the front. But I think that Pro-Am is a different story. I think they're just, that mid pack's a little bit faster than the mid pack pro, to where it makes those top Pro-Am guys really have to work to get through that mid pack to get relative
speaking is what you're saying.
Different. Yeah, it's different. So. Like JJ was blistering fast in qualifying. I mean, the guy was like, him and Sar kind of like, we're like, wow, like those guys are gonna put a smack down on Wesley and Mason, and JJ's got a bad start in that first moto, and it couldn't get to the front fast enough, so he ended up getting fourth. Great ride, awesome ride.
Oh yeah,
that's why I seen it where it didn't. He was ripping, but it didn't kind of get there as fast as he wanted to get there.
Yeah, well, Saturday was JJ's day. Jaden Launderville stole the show on Saturday in Pro
That guy
Sport.
Was absolutely ripping, man. And just to comment on it real quick, it was just so unfortunate because like that's why I was there. Like I was really working with him, and I think on Friday practice the dude was having a blast, riding so good, and you could just see it. And it kind of, those things transpire into good race.
They do.
When you're an amateur, you're having a blast on the track, you're whipping, you're ripping, your speed's good. After practice, we'd go watch some practices. I point out something, whatever. And then Saturday goes out and goes 1-1, first time all year. So like, of course, I'm feeling good because I'm there helping him. Yep. And then he goes 1-1 for the first time in the career. And I'm like, just absolutely stoked. He's stoked. Everybody's stoked. Everybody's on a high, Yeah. And then it's just, Sunday doesn't work out. So that was unfortunate for him, but yeah, Saturday, man, the kid was, I'm sorry, but if everybody was racing on Saturday, they were in trouble because he was just on one, He was just,
that's my guy. He lives less than an hour from me.
Oh yeah. Again, a greatest family on the planet, Jeremy and JJ and
I love those guys.
Shot guy Doug, and you got Leon over there, old C class, old Root River Mechanics. I've known him forever, so it was just a good camaraderie all weekend, and we were all. Yeah, it was super uplifting. And then Sunday, just him going down in those whoops, the first lap of the second moto, he was so frustrated with himself, and you could see it because it was on. We came out before qualifying on Sunday, and I've been there before, and he's like, "Today's the day." I feel it. And I'm like, ooh, it gives you the goosebumps, because he just went 1-1 the day before. And I know what that feels like. You feel that. It's like, it's hard to beat somebody that feels like that. So, he rode really good fourth, and he was a little upset. I'm like, dude, you came from 12th in the Pro-Am class to fourth. You did awesome. Like, go on the second moto, whoop their butt. And then it goes down right at the beginning, and he's so upset. And then the whole vibe changes, and it's like, it was such a good weekend, and then just a one little mistake. But that's motocross, So sorry to take up a lot of time on that, but it was just, how that goes. It's like you're so high, and then it's just the smallest mistake. He got third in the start, was going to pass for second, and how his speed was. I think he could have beat Westley that day. I believe that, because Westley was still not 100%, of course, but his speed is ridiculous. JJ was. He was flying. So I think if he would have just got up front, I think he could have really put a hurting on them boys, or at least battled Westley for a little while. Yeah. And then boom, right away, he goes down, and it's like, and he knocked himself a little silly. So then he wasn't 100% for the rest of the moto. So it was just a tough ordeal, man. But really cool to see JJ coming into his own and riding super well. Probably the best I've ever seen that kid ride. He was freaking flying. Yeah,
literally the best kid, the best family at the races. I swear, he's just awesome. I have pictures of him when he came up to my armpit or whatever, and now the dude is like 2 feet taller than me. So yeah, just I love those guys. So the thing about motocross racing, and the thing about the way that those classes are laid out, it's so easy if something crappy happens on Sunday to forget how good Saturday was. But the dude slayed it on Saturday, 1-1. So credit to JJ for going 1-1 in pro sport. And he deserves the credit and all those things. Joey Norris grabbed another podium there. He goes P2 on Saturday, and Cale Deal joined those guys on the podium, third overall. We have to mention Kinsey Osborne, the Kinsey Osborne tracker. She pushed the WMX Moto win streak to 37, which is nutty, to use your word. Absolutely there, Jeffrey. Absolutely insane. Yeah. Insane. Another 1-1 performance in Maryland. But Jeffrey, I think we got some special guests here to bring in. So I want to thank you so much for giving us some of your time tonight, going over all the races, man. This is so much fun. This is the most fun I've had on a race review show here in as long as I can remember. But pal, I can't wait to see you back at the racetrack, and can't wait to see you at Pleasure Valley and Briarcliff and all these races afterwards. So glad that we got a positive news, or however you want to say it, on your health and all those things. I'm stoked about that. And again, pal, this has been so much fun reviewing the races with you. So I can't thank you enough for going over all the races and all this stuff with a smile on your face, man. I can't thank you enough for that. It's been a blast.
I appreciate it, Cody. No, thanks for having me, man. If you want to talk racing and you want to do it for less than an hour, don't call me. No, but I appreciate you so much. And I'll hopefully see you soon. And we can do this again sometime for sure.
Yeah, I love it, pal. Well, thanks so much. You're the man, Jeffrey. And we'll see you in the next couple of weekends here.
Appreciate it, Cody. Thanks.
That's Jeffrey Rastrelli signing off on the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast, brought to you by UPP Racing. Use discount code DiggingDeep15 at uppracing.com. Have a good night, pal. Thanks so much.
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
The following message is brought to you by Manscaped.com. The Manscaped engineering team has outdone themselves this time, creating the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, now available for purchase in the U.S. and Canada. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped, an official sponsor of the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast, with this exclusive offer of 20% off and free worldwide shipping with code DiggingDeep20 at manscaped.com. I'm one of the first people to try the new 4.0, and I am blown away. This thing is next level. What sets this trimmer apart from all the rest? The Lawnmower 4.0 gives you the ability to turn the LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. It features a new multi-functioning on-off switch with travel lock for those of us who like to travel. And my favorite, the new trimmer allows you to customize your trim with 4 different guard lengths, an upgrade from its predecessor that only featured 2. If you're listening, you know that good tools are a must, so wait no more to get the best tools for the job. Get 20% off and free shipping with code DiggingDeep20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com by using code DiggingDeep20.
Hey everyone, this is Larry Mills, president of DP Brakes North America and proud partner of the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast. We at DP Brakes are a longtime supporter of ATV racing and the world leader in sintered brake technology, dominating the ATV world for decades by supporting the best four-wheel racers on the planet. This year's lineup includes Jeff Rastrelli, Mark Baldwin and Baldwin Motorsports, Ford Brothers Racing, Nick Janusa, and many more, including Mr. Digging Deep himself, Cody Jansen. Plus all the top 17 GNCC pros such as 7-time champion Walker Fowler, Bryson Neal, Hunter Hart, Cole Richardson, Jared McClure, Adam McGill, and previous champion Chris Borich. These top riders continue to appreciate the high performance and impressive durability that their DP brakes have to offer, products that ultimately help place them on top of the podium week after week. DP brakes are available through www.dp-brakes.com, or you can purchase them through your local Parts Unlimited stocking dealer, or you can even message us, myself, Larry Mills, or DP Brakes on Instagram or Facebook. And if you have any questions about product or sponsorship support, please ask us. We are waiting for you. Join the best ATV riders in the world equipped with DP Brakes, and have a great year, everyone.
Nearing 2 decades into the brand's existence, Factory 43 is back and better than ever, continuing to make major waves in the ATV world. For the 3rd consecutive season, Factory 43 is the official aluminum parts choice of the Phoenix Racing ATV team, providing their state-of-the-art Evo Nerf bars, MX-style front bumpers, and grab bars for 2-time champ Joel Hetrick. If you're in the market to upgrade your Nerf bars, bumpers, or grab bars, head over to factory43atv.com to see their full line of industry-leading products available for all makes and models. Head over to factory43atv.com today.
Hey everyone, it's Michelle Stillo, director of the D6 Ultimate Quad Series. We've been working hard over the years to bring you the very best in local ATV motocross racing. The D6 Ultimate Quad Series has race classes for all ages and skill levels. Maybe you're an experienced rider or you're just starting out, we have a class for you. We're excited to announce that we have 11 rounds of racing at tracks located in Pennsylvania, New York, and Maryland. For more information, follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
All right, guys, I am stoked for this. Making his long-awaited first appearance on the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast is a guy I have a ton of respect for, and probably now more than ever. Coming to you courtesy of the D6 Ultimate Quad Series, for the first time ever, say hello to Mr. Westley Wolfe. Wesley, thanks so much for joining me. I've wanted to make this happen for a very long time, pal. I know my listeners will be stoked for this for sure. So thanks so much for giving me a little bit of your time tonight, pal.
Yeah, it feels awesome. And finally to be on here. I'm a pretty busy guy and stuff, so it's hard to get a hold of me. But yeah, I made it happen. I mean, it's 10:30 my time. I think you're an hour behind, but hey, it's no big deal. It doesn't matter to me.
Awesome. Well, man, I appreciate you making a little time for me. Like I said, it's not like we haven't tried. We've tried to make this happen. But like I joked before we hit record, you're an elusive dude. So like I told you, I don't think that we could tell the story of the weekend without chatting with you a little bit. I guess we got to get right to it, right? Broken collarbone, I think, broken shoulder blade. I thought you told me. I didn't have any clue you were going to give it a go at Budds Creek. And the next thing I know, it's, the first qualifier there and you're sitting 4th fastest. So I'm like, what? So give me the lowdown on the injuries first, like what was all broke, what you were dealing with. And then I guess like get into, what the time off was like. Like, did you have any riding time? Like, how did this all play out?
Yeah. So at Georgia, I think, got to remember here correctly, Moto 1, I struggled with a bad start. So I had to climb my way back and just ended up with either, I'm not going to say what position, but I know I was thinking it was a top 5. And then Moto 2 came around and I felt fine. Shout out to Hoagie. I was a little down on hydration, but he helped me out really quick for Moto 2. So shout out to him.
Okay.
But, another bad start, Moto 2, and I wasn't freaking out because I liked the track and everything, and I was making different lines work than what the other guys were using, and my rear end just happened to get out of one of the lines I was using, and it it caught me off guard a little bit, and it pitched me, and I don't want to say the crash wasn't that hard of a crash, but I just hit the ground so quick, I couldn't even tell you what happened. There was a bunch of people watching. And then I jumped up really quick. And then I was like, oh man, I think I just broke my collarbone. Cause I went to go roll the quad over and I was struggling. And then some track workers come over, run over really quick. And they're trying to help me. I'm like, no, don't touch the quad. Please don't touch the quad. Don't touch it. So then they back off and I finally struggle getting it back over. I can barely put my kill switch in because I'm trying to use my shoulder as I'm trying to pull the kill switch open and put it in. And finally, I just got it in one-handed, started the quad up, didn't even pull the clutch in, just slammed it in gear. And then I went to the mechanics and I was like, JH, man, I just broke my collarbone. He's like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, like put your hand on it really quick. And he puts his hand on my shoulder and I go to pick it up and only one half moves. He's like, yeah.
Yikes.
I'm like, what do you want me to do? He's like, I don't care. So I'm like, well, if Chad can do it, I can do it. So I rode around and I think I only did like 2 laps and it was just so rough. Like every little bump, I could just feel it.
Mm-hmm.
So then I just pulled off. I was waiting for the checkers and then Hard's like, dude, like you're good. You're getting points. Like just pull off. So I pulled off, got undressed. And then, everyone's checking on me and everything. I'm like, listen, like my collarbone snapped. It's not my first time. Mm-hmm. So kind of messed up. Didn't even call my parents, anyone. I called my doctor Saturday evening. I got his cell number and I called him. I'm like, hey, he's like, how you doing, man? I'm like, shit, you saved my number? He's like, I know exactly who this is. So I'm like, hey, I just snapped my collarbone. When can you fit me in? He's like, if you get pictures on Monday, I'll fit you in by Thursday.
Okay.
So
because your goal, telling the listeners here, because you told me this at Ironman, your goal obviously is to come back at Ironman and not miss any rounds here. That was the goal when you thought it was just a collarbone.
Correct. Because with the way the year's been going and with how much effort I've been putting in off the quad, it was devastating, man. So I was doing every little thing to get back on the quad quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Like anything and everything. So drive straight home, straight through the night, everything, just mad at the world. I mean, I wasn't even tired, just drove straight home.
Yeah.
It's Sunday. I went to the emergency room because my insurance was like going to go through the racket and I would need a referral or whatever. So I went to an emergency room or urgent care, one of the two, whatever.
Yep.
Got some x-rays and then somehow the x-ray tech, I was like, is it broken? And she was like, oh, I can't answer that because like they got to follow the rules or whatever. I'm like,
they always tell you that they can't answer that for you.
Yeah, they're like, yeah. I'm like, just let me see it. Like, it's not my first rodeo. Like, I got a radial head in, my arm is short. And he's like, I'm not supposed to do this, but here, you can come take a look at it. Just took a picture of him really quick, the screen, and then I sent him to my doctor. And I'm like, so when can you plate it? And he's like, Bud, you just snapped your shoulder blade. I was just like asking for a friend, can you plate that? And he's like, no. So like really quick, I was doing my own research before I even talked to him. And it's like, you got to like move like the rotator cuff and you have to move all this tissue. And he's like, and then like, by the time I got to talking to him, I seen him like Tuesday and he's like, man, like, I don't want to break your heart any more than it is. But he's like, I can plate your collarbone, but I can't do anything for your blade. So
there's nothing you can really do for a period, right? Like you hinted at the fact that maybe there was some surgery you could do or something, but generally speaking, anytime I've heard about a shoulder blade, you just got to let that sucker heal.
Yeah. So unfortunately mine was broken at the top. So where it's really wide. And he's like, dude, like you've been broken in a bad spot. Like you're going to be a while. Like that bone is massive and it's going to be a while to heal. But he was talking about like how you have to move so much tissue and muscle and stuff. He says you're waiting longer for that stuff to re-heal versus just letting the bone heal.
I got it. Okay.
I still made a few phone calls and they're like, nope, won't touch it. Called a bunch of friends. They're like, yeah, like my shoulder blade's been in like 5-6 pieces and they still wouldn't touch it. So I'm like, all right, well, it is what it is, I guess.
And that's the bone that they typically say is like the hardest bone to break because it's so big and also it's pretty thin, right? So you know better than I, but it's made to move. So it's hard to break because of that.
Correct. My doctor said it's been 3 years since he's had a shoulder blade injury. And then like I was doing some research. It's like 1% of men in the world break their shoulder blade. And it's, other than your femur, it is the hardest bone. It is one of the hardest bones to break. Your femur and the shoulder blade are the top two.
Wow, that's insane. So you break this thing by hitting the ground, fluke incident, right? You just hook a rut right or whatever, wrong, I guess. And so then give me like an update on what that looked like from then until taking the track at Budds Creek. Like what's that time period look like? It screwed up your work schedule, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, if you believe me or not, not thankfully, but we were at I took 3 days off. I sat on the couch couch for 3 days.
And you're like, I can't do this no more.
I can't do this. Like I couldn't. I just couldn't. And like normally at the time we were doing it was a barndominium, but it was a massive garage for a dude to work on his airplane motors, and it was going to be his personal airplane hangar.
Okay.
So it's massive. It's got a 12-12 roof pitch, and like I'm just watching my guys and my dad struggle up there because normally I'd be up on the roof.
Okay.
But no, I ran a forklift. I ran a forklift for a week, so thankfully I could sit there and I could do something. At least I was trying to be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked that week, and then so we're 2 weeks out or from the injury. I'm like, forget this. I got to put a nail back on or something. And like every little bit, like when I would go to do something, it would just pull my collarbone. I didn't have much issue with my shoulder blade, but my collarbone just it hurt.
So there was no surgery on the collarbone or anything? This is natural healing?
No surgery because
Okay.
I can handle anesthesia and stuff, obviously, but it has taken a toll on me a little bit. Like every time I go under, I get something new. Like every time I'm going under lately, I get new floaters in my eyeballs and stuff, and they don't like disappear. So I wasn't like, yeah, let's go under just to plate this thing. But no, I just let it do its thing. I think 4 weeks. I don't know. 4 weeks. I was just always working, and then I made the mistake when I had my issue with my elbows and stuff. Like I sat for a month and didn't do anything. I wasn't making that same mistake again. So
Okay.
I think I took it easy for like two weeks. And then like on the third week, I started just on the spin bike. And then I just started running. Like on week 4, I started therapy. And by then I was jogging and everything. And I go into my first therapy session and they're like measuring me, like my degrees and everything and my mobility. And they're like, you're only like 15 degrees off your good side. And I'm like, yeah, I've been working and running and everything.
Did you tell them that?
And they're like, yeah, I've been to that place for my elbow. I did 2 years of therapy there. So I know them pretty well.
So they know you too. They know your MO.
Oh yeah, they know me.
Okay.
She's like, wow, this is a love-hate relationship. I hate that you're here again, but I'm glad you chose to come. I'm like, thank you.
Okay. So, and honestly, in the grand scheme of things, how many weeks was Etchicani until Budds Creek? Like 6? It wasn't that many.
It was 7 the day of.
Okay. So I knew you're talking about this timeline, and I'm like, the timeline really isn't that long.
No. So by doctor's book, I think a collarbone is 6 weeks, no surgery. And then a shoulder blade, minimum, like by the book, was 8 weeks. So it was close enough in my eyes. Like,
yeah.
As soon as I got like the callus on my bone here, like I felt the knot. He's like, hey, you're gonna have a knot there. And the second I felt the knot on the collarbone, like all my pain disappeared and stuff. And then, like I said before, like the shoulder blade, I didn't have much issue with the blade. I feel I didn't have any issue. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. It's just it's a weird thought though, to know that, you know, that thing isn't in one piece back there. And as you move, I mean, I know you had a broken collarbone too, so it's not like you're moving a ton, but at the same time, like I'm sure in the back of your mind, you're thinking like, man, I hope I'm not moving too much so that thing's like seizes itself back together, you know?
Yeah, trust me, I know. Because like I did get a CAT scan and I'm like, is it cracked or is it broke? He's like, X-ray shows it's cracked. And then I went and got a CAT scan. He's like, nah, it's broke all the way through, bud. Sorry.
Awesome.
I was like, seriously? He's like, yeah. Because
in my mind, Wesley, like when I see you on the timing and scoring for the first time, you know, or whatever, I'm like, man, like it wasn't the collarbone that comes to mind. It's the shoulder blade that I know is not the easiest thing to heal. So I'm like, man, like I knew the timeline had to be close.
Yeah. Like, I wanted to, with everyone being hurt, honestly, I wanted to roll Ironman. Ironman would have been pushing it, even rolling, like even touching a quad. High Point, I felt like I could have rolled it because Nick and I did the track for Schiffer and them.
Yeah.
And then I rode 5 laps when we were done the track. And Nick's like, you could have raced High Point. I was just like, nah, we'll keep it quiet. Like I told them guys, like, hey, no videos. Because like, shout out to JHL, but like he was kind of being finicky about it because like he was refreshing in the practice motor. And like, ironically, it worked out perfect. I needed a fresh motor And he's like, oh, look, you got hurt. You're giving me time.
Perfect.
So
time.
then, like, I don't know. Whenever time we were building the track, I was like, dude, like, I need a motor, like, now. He's like, nah, not yet. Like, doctor's orders. I'm like, sure.
He's like, like your second dad.
Yeah. He basically is my second dad. And then, like, a day or two went by, and, like, I texted Tiff. I'm like, I need a motor now. I'm like, I'm going crazy. So I think a week. Did we have? I can't even remember. Did we have 2 weeks in between High Point and?
Yeah. Yep. Yes, you did.
3 weeks.
You did.
So they waited another week, and then the motor showed up in the mail, and then I put it in right away. And I was like, man, do I really want to ride? Like, in my head, I was either gonna ride like Wednesday or Thursday before Budds.
Mm-hmm.
And then see how it felt, or just go for it at Budds.
To give yourself as much time as possible, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I was giving every day, every second of that thing to heal.
Okay. And then, so did you end up riding a little bit before Budds?
I did end up riding I rode Wednesday evening. I told my father, I'm like, listen, I'm taking off work. I'm going to race this weekend. I need to know if I'm going to be wasting my time and everyone's effort, or if I, like, what's going on. He's like, all right, whatever. So I dip out early. Shout out to Tanner's. He lets me ride, even if it's dusty or whatever. But,
okay.
Went to Tanner's Wednesday, and then just hopped on road. Like, I had a freshie motor, so it was a good break-in session, but I didn't have any pain or anything. And then I just clicked out, I don't know, I clicked out a sprint moto, and then I clicked out a long 22, and I felt fine. So
you did. Okay. Cause we've all been there where you're a little busted up and you're like giving it a go for kind of the first time, and you're trying to figure out if you're good or not. And so, yeah, to go out there and feel pretty decent was probably a good thing. And then at what point did you decide? Jeffrey told me that you were kind of telling people at the racetrack that, you're like, oh, I'm not racing. So did you try to keep it under wraps with everybody until Saturday morning, or what?
I mean, yeah, we got snakes in the grass. You know what I mean? You know how it is. Snakes in the grass.
I know how it goes. I had no idea that you were going to go out there and race, man. So that was pretty cool. That was a good shock, I thought.
Yeah. I mean, like, anyone I didn't really know personally, I would just be like, oh no, I'm not really ready. And then, like, people that I was close with, or knew, they know how I act. I would always, like, they're like, are you racing? And I would say no, and I would shake my head. Yeah. I'd be like, no.
Well, that's what Jeffrey said. He's like, I could tell in the tone of his voice that he was like, no, I'm not racing. He's like, I knew he was going to. He said, I knew all week that he was going to give it a go.
Yeah. I mean, it was Budds. And even in my head, like, driving home from Etchicani, I'm like, I'm doing the timeline I'm staring at my calendar on my phone. I'm like, I can do this. I can do this.
So Budds was the goal. So for it to all come together at the 11th hour, man, for that race, especially pretty sick, honestly.
Yeah, thank you. But no, Budds was a goal. It was a hometown race. Like, I'm not missing it. It was only, the drive there is terrible, but it's only 80 miles. So,
okay. We just got done saying on the review pod, Jeffrey and I, that you decide to give it a go. You show up time qualifying, you're fast right off the rip. You end up being in the top 5 all day long, literally, in both motos, qualifying basically top 5 the whole time. Before the injury, I think that I truly believe that it was the best that we've ever seen you ride. Like, we've seen you on the podium and stuff in the past. Obviously, things have come together. You had this terrible injury with the elbow and stuff. You come back from that, you get back going. I know there was more surgeries and all those things, but we've seen you be really good in the past is what I'm getting at. But I think the class is really, really good this year. We didn't see you get on the podium yet this year, but I think that your riding has been better than ever. I truly believe that. And then you go out there at Budds this past weekend after the injury, after all the time off that you just outlined for us. And it looked like you never missed a beat, dude. It looked like you picked up right where you left off before you fell off at Etchicani and just brought it to Budds 2 months later. That's insane to me. Like, that's why I needed to talk to you, because most people, if they don't get a little riding time in, they're like, oh, I don't feel it this weekend. I'm tight, whatever. And you came off the couch, and it's like I said, it's like you never missed a beat, man. It's insane.
Oh man, I appreciate it, seriously. But if the boys knew, I come off the couch every weekend to the race.
Well, I think we do know that. I think we do know that that's how that works for you.
I mean, if there's a D6 in between rounds, I'm definitely touching a bike. But other than that, I mean, maybe once a week, maybe, and it's not even quality riding. I mean, I'm coming home from work womped out, and it's 6 o'clock, and I'm just like, man, do I even feel like putting the helmet on right now?
I know I got to get my laps in. Yeah.
No, but yeah, the weekend, it was all right. I mean, like when I came around qualifying, the first qualifying and the pit board said P4, I was like, hell yeah, let's go. And then the boys, they find some lines, and I think I got knocked back to 6 or 7, I don't know. And then I think qualifying 2 I still was stuck in like that 6 or 7. So I was a little frustrated with that from what it was, but hey, you can't complain. You got to take the good with the bad. And I was on the quad, and yeah, P5 both motos. I don't really remember the starts. I try not to remember them if they're shitty or not. But yeah, I was kind of in no man's land, so I was just riding by myself. Moto 2, I had a decent start because I was at the tail end of that group, and just a little. I was happy that I was able to stay with them, but then, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I rode the struggle bus a little bit there, and then I dropped the anchor and said, "See you later, guys."
Hey, you got an excuse this weekend, pal. You got the excuse, but. The one thing I did want to touch on that you haven't talked about yet or elaborated on is you touched on the fact that you hinted at that there's more effort. You put in more effort off the racetrack or off the bike or however you want to say it. You hinted at the fact that you put more into this off season, and it seemed like you were down at Johnny's more maybe or something like that. It just seemed like you were doing some things different, and I thought it showed on the racetrack because, like I said, you've been fire all season long so far.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not trying to toot my horn or anything, I have a lot of talent, and like growing up, I always made my stuff work, even if it wasn't top of the line or, I'm not saying I got financial problems, but like my stuff wasn't always fresh every weekend. Like I'd go half a season on top end, you know what I mean? And
that's just real world problems in ATV motocross,
I mean, yeah, but, no, I've been doing a lot of off the bike training. I have a friend at home. He's always here helping me, and he was trying to lose weight at the same time. So I said, all right, let's go, man. Like we would do, I don't know. I'm not going to get into it too much and bore you guys, but yeah, lots of spin biking, lots of running lately. I probably run minimum 3 times a week, and I'm always watching the heart rate. I took the off the bike training a lot more serious. Like before I just go, like I always have the saying, like, I'm built different, I wake up and eat nails for breakfast, but no, a lot of off the bike training, watching the heart rate. And just like, even though I didn't get to ride a lot this off season, I'll be honest with you. I know exactly how many times I rode. I rode 6 times in the off season.
Oh my gosh.
But the 6 times that I rode, like I was, it was legit motos. I'm like, all right, I don't get the ride often. I need to be serious about it.
Yeah,
whereas
sure.
like before, I'm like, well, I don't get the ride. I'm going to go have fun. Like, why am I going to put in work and train when but this time I looked at it differently. You know what I mean? So
got it. Yeah, got it. No, it makes sense. And I think we're seeing it on the racetrack, honestly. Like, I know that you're a guy that, like you said, you pointed out the elephant in the room. Like, you have buku talent. You always have. I can remember seeing you on a mini quad and being like, whoa, that dude has something that most of us do not have. And everybody knows that because we know your life schedule to a point. We know that you work a 9 to 5 and a lot more than a 9 to 5. I know how that goes. So, I think that's why so many people, like, you're kind of like a people's champ kind of guy, because you're one of us, you're one of everybody else, yet you go out there and bust your ass on Saturdays in the pro class. And like I said, come off the couch, put it in the top 5, all those things. Like, I think that's why everybody loves you so much, pal, is because, like, you're no different than all the people standing on the fence. Just you're in the pro class, dicing it up at the front of the thing.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Seriously. I mean, yeah, you want real world? I'll show you real world. Just come work with us a day. Something's always happening. Something's always going on. It's part of it. But I mean, yeah, I've been trying to. I wouldn't even say I'm taking it more. I mean, I am taking it more serious, but I don't know. Like, I got I actually have help this year, so shout out to those guys helping me out. They know who they are. They're in my circle. I keep that circle close. I don't toot my horn. I don't shout out the names and stuff. Like, I run on a lot of guilt too. So I feel like if I ain't doing good for them, and JH, he always says, don't worry about it. And Tiff says, don't worry about it. But man, like, the amount of effort they put in, if you knew, and then like when you come out and you're like, man, like all this effort, and I got 5th place, like you just got to go home and put in the work with what time I do have. And I mean, they realize it, and I'm very thankful. They're very understanding. So huge shout out to them. But I mean, yeah, we're back. I want to say I'm back.
Success in the ATV MX world is similar to what creates financial success as well. The right people, the right advice, and more importantly, hard work and the benefit of an ongoing relationship as situations change and adversity is experienced. Do you have the right financial advisor to help you reach your goals? Haymauer Financial Group can create a personalized, goal-based plan to help your family prepare for whatever life brings. Call me, Scott Haymauer, at Haymauer Financial Group, a private wealth advisory practice of Ameriprise Financial Services, at 920-338-8150. That's 920-338-8150. Offices located in beautiful De Pere, Wisconsin, with registrations and clients nationwide.
Headlined by their 4130 Chromoly, Launderville Steel and Concrete Supply is a full-service steel supplier of new and surplus steel, aluminum, and stainless steel products. This racing family-owned full metal service center and concrete product supplier comes with over 30 years of experience serving the entire United States from their central Midwest location. As the #1 choice for nationwide shipments and with available next-day delivery in select areas, LSE has you covered near or far. 4130 is not just the chromoly tubing and plate used in the building of chassis for an array of motorsports applications, but it is also the name of the newest addition to the Pro Paddock, with riders Jaden JJ Launderville and Max Lindquist, introducing the new 4130 Motorsports team. Launderville Steel offers a large selection of material for any project, including their concrete division that can supply everything you need to complete your next business or personal project. For a quote or more info, visit laundervillesteel.com today or give them a call at 715-675-6193. That's 715-675-6193. Here at Digging Deep, we have an obvious passion for ATVs and pridefully enjoy sharing the sport's history. Since 2019, when the podcast was born, we've been working to partner with individuals who share our passion, but one man and his vision had been missing from our partnership group. Until now. When it comes to the sport's history, the hallowed grounds of Binky's Forever ATC Museum has it all. Binky Tapscott's mind-blowing collection of 3- and 4-wheelers has preserved history by spanning all makes and models, from Honda 3-wheelers in chronological order to unique builds that shaped ATV racing as we know it, like Doug Gust's iconic DRZ-powered hybrid thumper and everything in between. There's no denying Binky's passion, a passion that we certainly relate to here at Digging Deep. Binky's goal is to share his amazing collection with fellow enthusiasts by making his prized possessions accessible to the public via scheduled visits. Follow Forever ATC Museum on Facebook and watch foreveratc.com for further updates on possibly getting a chance to see Binky's Forever ATC Museum for yourself. We are proud to welcome Binky's Forever ATC Museum to the Digging Deep family. As the #1 podcast in ATV racing, it's only right that we partner with the industry leaders in suspension tuning. Insert Impact Solutions. Impact Solutions is a full-service ATV and side-by-side suspension center specializing in the revalving and service of your motocross and off-road suspension. With over 25 years of elite-level knowledge, experience, and testing with riders of all ages and ability levels, Jay Goebel and the Impact crew strive to exceed clients' expectations for service and setup. Impact Solutions is the official Elka Suspension Service Center of the United States, offering unmatched product knowledge and experience. Whether you're in need of service, parts, warranty, sales, or technical support, Impact Solutions has you covered. Head over to impactsolutionsatv.com or give them a call today. With the desire to keep you in the race, Ultimate Poly Products offers the ultimate protection collection of case savers, chain sliders, intake manifolds, and more. Founded on quality in 1998, this family-owned and operated business produces products created by racers for racers. These industry-leading products are proudly made and manufactured in the USA, with their case savers being made of the highest quality American-made polyurethane on the market and designed to completely conform to your engine case to help prevent case damage from a thrown chain, because no one wants to be a spectator on race day. Join top pro riders like Bryson Neal, Walker Fowler, John Glotta Jr., Adam McGill, Cole Richardson, and more by using UPP Racing products. Use discount code DiggingDeep15 at uppracing.com to save on your next order. Ultimate Poly products, made to last longer so you can ride more. Thanks for listening, and remember to support our partners. Now back to the show.
I want to say I'm back. Got to get back to riding. I'm actually going to take a 3/4 day tomorrow. I asked the boss, I'm like, hey, you all right if I dip out a little bit after lunch? I got to ride. He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, sure, no problem.
Perfect way to spend a Friday. Well, I think honestly too, I think that the partnership between JH and you, since you've been on that program, has been like a match made in heaven. It sure seems like it. You know, he did the thing with Zach Kazmarek for a little while, and Zach had some good rides for him, and Sammy Rowe was doing the JH ride for a bit. But man, since you've been on that ride, it sure seems like it's been a match made in heaven. And I think that you make them work really well. Obviously, you know, you've been here praising them. Like, I just feel like it's been such a cohesive thing. It's been like you guys have been inseparable since that merger. And I think, at least from my perspective, man, it looks like it's been like the perfect match.
I mean, yeah, I will say I don't, to be honest, I wouldn't even be racing without them this year. You know, I had a lot of stuff go down personal, and he came to me, he's like, hey, here's the deal. Like, and it's him and I know what the deal is. And I'm like, yeah, like I couldn't pass it up. I'm like, all right, time to go to work. And
awesome.
When I don't know, just something like that just changed my motto towards it, changed my head and everything. And I made a couple phone calls and everything, and they're like, yeah, like, we'll help you out. No big deal. And I'm like, all right, it's on. So from when I made those phone calls, that's when off the bike training started and everything. And I mean, yeah, like, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but I think maybe we clicked just because of how hard they work. I'm not taking anything from the rest of the industry, you know, everyone puts in their time and everything. But if you go to the shop and, you know, Tiff's always there answering the phone, he's always he's always in the back, always being grumpy because Tiff and I are up there talking, and he's back there building shocks or putting the motor together. But no, I mean, if you call, and I mean, she's got part numbers memorized, and she's always packing orders and everything. So they're a good team. And I think, I don't know, we like you said, we just click. I don't know.
It works.
It's hard. I'm really weird about who I let in my circle. My circle is very small. So, I mean, huge shout out to them and the rest of the crew that's helping me out this year.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And to kind of recap, to kind of tie a bow on the weekend, I thought it was cool. I was excited to see you do the Pro-Am thing because, you know, I thought it gave us more of an opportunity to kind of shed some light on the fact that you were coming back on this amazing comeback, right? Like, you know, that's some of the voids, right? Like, I try to fill with our show here is like, you know, in the past, how like the little storylines, I felt like not dogging on how this whole sport works or whatever, but sometimes I feel like things get overlooked. Westley Wolfe comes back from being all freaking busted up, and like, I want everybody to know like how busted up he was. And, you know, so you being in Pro-Am almost gave us more of an opportunity to be like, hey man, you know, not only did he slay it on Saturday, top 5 in the pro class off the couch, now he's, you know, winning and in a really good Pro-Am class. You can speak on that better than I can, because you were out there with those guys, but really good Pro-Am class. You go out there and won that too. It was like the cherry on top to an awesome weekend. And like I said, it kind of gave us more run to, you know, kind of praise you a little bit for this comeback and a couple more good rides to cap the weekend off.
Oh yeah, for sure. The Pro-Am is kind of funny. So I got done pro, and like, I didn't feel as sore as I thought I was going to be. And I'm like, I wasn't, I'll be honest with you, I was pretty pissed off with how far the top pack was away. Like, yeah, did I get P5? I was happy with that. But I'm like, man, those guys were like, they were gone. Like, they were moving. So I'm like, man, I'm kind of mad. Maybe I could have put in a little more effort. I'm not as sore. I'm like, I told myself, I'm like, I'm going to run Pro-Am tomorrow. I'm close to home. I mean, it's not like I need to be home on Sunday. It'd be different at sunset, if I'm running Pro-Am, I'm like, man, that's a long drive home. And we're getting done at 3:00. I'm like, man, I'm 2 hours from home. I ain't got nothing to lose. I asked Tiff that night, I'm like, you gonna be mad if I run Pro-Am? She's like, I don't care. So then, like, I'm running my practice bike. Well, my practice bike needed a rotor, the tires swapped, oil change. So I'm over there, like, late at night prepping my bike, and I'm going back and forth from my trailer to JH's trailer because I was needing parts. And JH is like, "What are you doing, man?" I'm like, I'm prepping my practice bike. I don't have time to do it at home to ride. He's like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "Can you come?" And I just put the motor in myself and everything. I'm like, "Can you come just nut and bolt it and make sure everything's routed right so I'm not getting hurt?" He's like, "Yeah, for sure." Didn't come over that night and check anything over. I'm like, "Ooh." Awesome. So then I get up in the morning and I go and sign up really quick because like I didn't want anyone to know. So I just went and signed up really quick. And then I'm getting geared up in the back of the garage, like not letting anyone see me. And like, I don't know, qualifying was going out. And someone ratted on me. I think it was Emily Nixon. She's like, I don't know what they were talking about. She's like talking to JH and she's like, "Wesley has gear on." And he's like, "No." And she's like, "No, he has gear on." So he comes over and peeks at the trailer. He's like, "Do you want to run the race bike?" I'm like, "I just prepped this practice bike all last night. I'm not running my race bike, but thank you for the offer." So I go out there and the track's really sloppy. Like track did shape up. Like I'll give a shout out there. It did shape up, but in the morning, man, there was about 6 to 7 inches of slop on top. And I'm running the pracky bike, and I think like I was like mid qualifying, I was like P1, and then at the end I went down to 4, and I was like, these boys can move for a lap apparently. I'm like, whoa. So then I'm walking through the pits, and Jody goes, "You all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, why?" He's like, "I got a buck on you today. You better win." And I'm going under there, and I'm talking to John Ford. I'm like, "Them boys got some ponies or something on the pracky or on their bikes. Like, I don't have any Pro 6 or anything. I'm running C12. And they're like, "You need a can of Pro 6? I was like, "Yeah, I need a can of Pro 6.
Yeah, so, I've heard the rumors of the little betting that goes on in Pro-Am over there in the JB tent.
Yeah. So I'm like, "You give me a can of Pro 6, I'll help your odds out." So we changed
serious business over there. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, so we changed the gearing on the pracky bike, throw some Pro 6, and it was just like a race motor. It's amazing what that Pro 6 can do. But yeah, Pro-Am went out, pulled the whole shot of Moto 1, which is not like me. So I was excited about that. Shout out to Music Racing and Brian Jenkins for the extra $100. Like every dollar counts, man. But no, ran a really good moto. I think Joey was pressuring me there like the first half of the moto. He can sprint. Like I told him at the end of the race, like nothing against him, man. I'm like, you figure those last 3 or 4 laps out, you'll do just fine, man.
Yeah.
And then Moto 2, I think Kevin sneaked around me on the whole shot. And then I think I rode with him for a lap or 2, which was good because we got to play around with lines. I got to see what was fast or slow. And then I think got around him and then took off a little bit. And then Mason was reeling me in. I was telling Mason too, I'm like, "Dude, like you ride way better in Pro-Am." Then I'm like, "If you ride like this on Pro Day, like you'll be way better off." He's like, "Dude, like, I don't know. Like maybe it's confidence." I'm like, "It's definitely confidence."
It's like, confidence. It's he looks at Sundays like it's his day, you know, It has been all year.
And I told him, like, once again, nothing against him. I'm like, "Dude, like you need to ride like this like the day before." He's like, "Yeah, I know, man." So,
but I think as a young pro too, I sometimes wonder, like you've been there too, you know,
it's all mental. It's all mental.
It's a lot of it's mental. And then when you go from amateur to pro, you're used to spinning a bunch of laps on Friday. And then on Saturday, you don't even think about what you're doing because you got so many laps in. And when you first transition to pro, I sometimes wonder if that's an adjustment period too, because now all of a sudden you have to go out there right away Saturday morning. And from the first lap on, like it's go time, you know, you have Westley Wolfe behind you, rev bombing you because you got to go full on first lap of qualifying, you know? So maybe that's part of it too. I don't know, but yeah.
No, but nothing against them, but those boys move. Don't get me wrong. That class is quick. And I mean, they'll do just fine within a year or 2. I know some of them probably want to move up, and that top handful is definitely, I mean, in my eyes, they'll figure if they can figure their last few, the pro moto, that extra time, they'll do just fine.
Yeah. Class is fast, no doubt. The class has got some talent in it for sure. But yeah, like I said, it was fun to see you out there 1-1 in Pro-Am. And like I said, kind of puts a cherry on top to an awesome weekend. So I think I think I'm assuming, obviously all in for the rest of the year, and you've kind of elaborated on that. You're hitting it hard off the bike and all these things. I would assume you're going to get some more riding time in, like you're going to tomorrow. And I would think you're only going to get stronger, right? Like you said, you were on the struggle bus a little bit. Didn't really look like that from the sideline, but you're only going to get stronger. And I hope that that pays off in, a couple podiums here at the end of the season or whatever. I think that would be a really cool way to end this thing. Such a strong start to the season for you. And I hope that, we kind of already saw you pick up where you left off. And I hope that pays off with a podium or something like that, because I think you deserve it with how well you've been riding, pal.
Hey, thank you. Seriously. And, I'm not going to lie to you, that is the plan. And everyone's like, oh, what do you think? And what do you think? I'm like, give me a round or two. Like, give me a little bit of time. Like, I'm built different, but I'm still human. But still, fast food on during the week don't help with work. And no, but yeah, man, seriously, I appreciate it big time, and put my head down, train as much as I can, like you said, and hopefully get some handlebars in my hands here and there throughout the week.
So no more GNCC. Was that a person's only got so much time, so much money, so much whatever? Like, did you just want to fully focus on moto? Like, what was the deal with that? Because that was one thing I was curious on how all that played out, because I've always wondered how the heck you managed to do it all in the past. But that was, I don't know how you ever did it.
The lifestyle, you're born in, or once you start racing, it's in your blood. Like, you can't get it out of you, and it just becomes like clockwork. And at the time, like when I was doing it, like, I give my family props. I don't know how they did it, because I was still in school and we were racing every weekend. Like, But then again, like, I wasn't leaving like at the GNCCs and like the moto. Like, I know some parents like take their kid out on Wednesdays and Thursday, and they travel on Wednesday, hang out Thursday at the races. Like, my dad and I, we were traveling. I was getting out of school Thursday nights, and he would drive all night long to get us to the races, and That's just how it was. I was raised on grit. You made do whatever you had at the time. That's what you got. You made do.
Did whatever you had to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I feel like maybe that's why I work as hard as I do. But no, since the accident, I don't know. I just kind of lost interest in it. Like, I never really excelled, especially with meeting JH and everything really helped me pick moto, because I got the taste of the podium. I'm like, all right, this is fun. And to be honest with you, at the end of the day, I love jumping. I love building the moto tracks and then going to go ride them. So like, I'm not saying I got burnt out at Woods. To be honest with you, if I wouldn't have just broke the collarbone and the shoulder blade, I was going to race the GNCC at the Mason-Dixon.
Okay.
But with the collarbone and everything, it was too close. I wasn't doing it. And then, it spreads you too thin, financially wise, time wise, stress wise, mentally. It's brutal.
I can't believe you did it for as long as you did, dude. I can't believe you did both for as long as you did. It's insane.
Yeah, like at my age, like, when you were a kid, it didn't really matter. Like, I don't know how, like, my parents just made it happen. And you don't think about that at the time. You just think about, like, I want to go ride. I'm doing decent. Like, why would I quit? And then when you get, like, you're moving up into XC2 and I didn't do so good, I was like, well, it's still fun. It's still riding.
Yeah. So
I stuck with it. And then I just moved up to XC1 and I was just always floating around, 6th to 8th place, like, it was satisfying. It wasn't good or bad. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I get it.
I wouldn't change any of it for a minute. The amount of people I've met over there and stuff, and I've kind of lost contact with them. That's probably on my end, but I still try and keep up with them. I'm always watching, even if I don't call Chris Borge after a race or something, or Austin Aveney or the rest of the crew. Like, I'm always watching, always.
Yeah, so, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then just with the accident with my elbow and everything, it's just, the thing in there it's in there moving around, and there's a thought in my mind to get it fixed as soon as the last race is over. I don't know. I need another surgery with the thing.
Oh, you do? Because there's been follow-ups since the original surgery, right?
Yeah. So I've had, I don't even know, man, like 3 surgeries. I shattered it at the MX at Loretta Lynn, it. They pieced it together. And then I went 2 or 3 months. I was on my last checkup, and he's like, dude, like, are you in pain? I'm like, no, but I'm sore. Like, when I leave therapy, I'm sore. I feel like I'm leaving the gym. He's like, no, like, your bones just deteriorated. They didn't take, and you need a radial head replacement. So it's just like, great.
You're kidding me. Holy
Yeah.
crap.
So he's like, man, like, I need to do that like tomorrow. Like, are you free? I'm like, yeah, I'm free. He's like, all right, I'll pencil you in. So like 2 days later, I'm like getting a fake elbow put in, the same thing that Christian Craig has. I don't know if you follow up with him, but it's the same thing.
Actually, as you just said, that there was more surgeries and complications and stuff, he's the first person that came to mind because his has been obviously difficult for him.
Yeah, I need to message him and get some info about his and who his doctor is and who did his. But no, did that, got the radial head, and then my wrist was like the size of a golf ball, and I lost a lot of my motion. Like, it took everything I had to grab a set of handlebars without like putting tension on my wrist. So I was like, at the time, I didn't think I was getting greedy because I just wanted to get back to riding and everything. So I'm like, all right, let's get this. Let me get my wrist fixed. Well, my wrist getting that fixed, meaning my ulna and my radial shifted. So one went down and one went up. So thankfully, the bone that I broke in the initial incident, he's like, listen, I'll take your plate off. I'll shorten that bone. We'll pull it back together correctly, and then we'll pin your wrist and set it. So I'm like, all right, no big deal. So we take my plate off. He shortens my arm on that side about 3/8 of an inch, and then resets my wrist. And then, I don't know, I go another 3 to 6 months or whatever, back to riding, and I'm like, man, like, my elbow's starting to click a lot. Like, I know it, and it's going to be normal. It's going to click. It's going to lock up. But I'm like, it was like the snap of a finger one day, like after riding, I'm like, man, this thing's like clicking, like really clicking. So I go in, and he's like, dude, like, the probe is loose. It's like wallowing your bone out. So like the way I describe it to people is like, think of like a tie rod, and then the flag is wore out.
Okay.
So the flag is my bone, the tie rod is stem. Yep. It looks identical to a tie rod. And he's like, man, like, you're going to have to get that radial head replaced. I'm like, well, what do you do? Like, because you can't drill any further. He's like, no, we do. So he'll take my radial head out, and then he'll grind away at my joint and reposition it. Like, I've gone through it a lot. It's a long story. I'm not trying to bore everyone.
No, you're good. I'm intrigued because this is your body you're talking about. This isn't a tie rod and a flag, like that's nuts.
So now my stem is wobbling in my bone. This is probably at the beginning of, I don't even know how long I've been fighting this. I think I rode all last year with it, fighting it. And then it's like wobbling. It egged the bone out. So now that I have it so loose, now it's pistoning. So now it's just going side to side. Now it's going up and down, back and forth. So now it's pistoning. And he's like, dude, like, I don't know why you don't go get it fixed. And to be honest with you, I had a surgery scheduled last January, I think, to get it fixed. And then I was like, man, I'm not going to be able to race. I'm not going to be able to do anything again. Pulled the plug on the surgery 2 days before.
Oh my gosh.
I emailed the lady. I'm like, listen, I can't do this. I met with his name's Dr. Glotro. We call him Dr. G. I met with him 3 times and everything. He's like, yeah, I'm good to go. Like, I got everything. Like, we're going to grind the joint away, reposition it, and then drill further down in. And he's like, all right. And then canceled it 2 days before.
Man, I don't blame you though. Like, to be totally out of it, I can't imagine what the recovery time looks like for something like that. Like, you've been through the ringer with that thing. I don't blame you for not wanting to jump right back in there right away.
Yeah. So here I am though, still loose, fake elbow, and it's got 2 bone spurs on the outside of it now. So it clicks on that, catches on that, and I don't know. Have you seen my amount of motion with my wrist? Like, this is all I got.
Oh, really? So if you do have this surgery, like, or I guess you're going to have to at some point, but like, is that something you try to do right away after the season so that so that it doesn't mess up your next season, or like, what's the deal?
I don't know. It's in my brain right now. To be honest with you, with everything that's been going on, this was going to be my last true season. I was going to be done and then just sell out and do whatever. I don't know, have a quote quote normal life, I guess. I don't know. Okay. But with how good I was doing and then this injury, there's always that what it could have been feeling and everything.
What if? Yeah, what if, for sure.
depending how my backing goes and everything and what my plans are, there is the thought of getting the elbow fixed the week after Loretto lands and then coming back one more year next year, 110%, and then I'm done.
Okay. Well, I hope you give yourself, and I hope you get the opportunity to do that, because like I said, I've been so impressed, with the way that this arc has been, because you were so sky high when that injury, that first initial elbow did happen. Like, that was such a breakout season for you, 2 podiums and everything that came along with that, being in the mix every weekend. I mean, it was amazing. And then to see, it would have been a whole lot easier for you to just bow out then, right? And you didn't, and you fought your tail off to get back to where you are now. And now you're back in the mix. So I do hope you give yourself that opportunity. But the one thing I do want to ask, and I don't want to end this on a bad note, but I never knew what happened there. Like, what happened there? Because it was such a weird spot to crash. Like, it was on that little triple, right? Before after the finish line or whatever.
Yeah. So like, apparently during my concussion the whole time, I'm like, did I brake tap? Did I brake tap? Did I brake tap? Did I brake tap? And they're like, no. So like, the JH like tore that bike completely apart like that day. Like, I mean, he obviously was devastated, nothing he could do.
Yeah.
But it had to do with the end of the spark plug detonated a little bit and broke off and lost connection on the lip of the jump.
Oh, so it like endoed, because I didn't see the wreck. I just saw the aftermath of you like.
The bike shut off right at the lip, and I'm one to never bail. I'm always one to always ride her out.
Hold on till the bitter end. Me too.
Hold her wide and hold on and see where she goes. But obviously, she stalled and shut off because of the spark plug and everything. And
got it. Okay.
Yeah. And
bad deal. That's one of those things that you want to forget, not relive.
Listen, I don't have an issue coming around a corner. It was my fault. My rear end came out of the rut a little bit, but man, that gives you a little bit of PTSD. You got to overcome that. So
yeah, I don't blame you. Well, don't think about it. It was a weekend that you shouldn't soon forget, man. It was awesome. And like I said, I know it's 11:20 your time right now on a Thursday night, and we're talking about the races this past weekend. But man, like I said, I don't think that we could fully tell the story without talking to you, and just wanted to be able to hold you down here for a couple minutes and chat about the comeback and everything else, man. So I appreciate it. I know you got work tomorrow, so I want to let you go, but it just wouldn't have been right if we didn't talk to you, pal. So again, I can't thank you enough for your time here and kind of laying everything out for us. And I hope that this is something we can do again in the future, man, because you've been an awesome guest. It's lived up to the hype for sure.
All right. I appreciate it, man. No big deal. Just call me. Hopefully I can find time in my schedule. Like I said, man, I don't mind 11:20. That's when my brain shut off. That's actually when I'm thinking about what I'm going to do for tomorrow and stuff. But no, man, I'm happy to give my input, and I'm happy to be on here, man. I appreciate it. Seriously. Thank you.
Awesome, pal. Well, congrats again. Get some rest, get some laps in tomorrow. Stay healthy. Don't do anything crazy before here and next weekend. And we'll see you in Illinois. Okay, pal?
Yeah. All right. Thank you, sir. I'll see you there.
Awesome, man. That's Westley Wolfe signing off on the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast, brought to you by the D6 Ultimate Quad Series. Thanks so much, pal. Have a good night.
Yep, you too. See ya.
Man, as far as race review shows go, it's going to be hard to top this one. Jeffrey was absolutely amazing. I thought he smashed it. And I've wanted to get Westley Wolfe on for so long. There's been a number of times where I thought it was really, really close. And honestly, I thought we were going to get him on for the live show a few weeks back at one point, and he just didn't end up making it to the event. So that didn't happen. But this time it finally came together, and I thought it surpassed my expectations by a mile. I hope that this is just the start of having him on as a regular guest. What an awesome dude and a great listen. Major thanks to Jeffrey Rastrelli and Westley Wolfe for joining us as tonight's featured guests. Shout out to John Glotta as well. It got late on the night that we were recording everything here, and we couldn't quite make it happen. I really wanted to, but I hope to get him on in the near future here because he deserves it. Thanks to producer Dallas Jansen, my brother, for all his hard work. Thanks to my wife, Brooke, and thanks to AMA official Harv Whipple. Thanks to all of our donors, and thanks to all of our partners. CST Tires, go to shop.csttires.com today. Yamaha, thanks to Blue Crew. Thanks to SSI Decals, Valvoline, DID Racing Chain, Namura Technologies, Bronco ATV and UTV Components, Launderville Steel Enterprises and Concrete Supply, the financial advice of the Haymauer Financial Group, DP Brakes, Factory 43, Binky's Forever ATC Museum, Impact Solutions, Ultimate Poly Products, UPP Racing. Use code DIGGINGDEEP15 at uppracing.com. The D6 Ultimate Quad Series and Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with code DIGGINGDEEP20 at manscaped.com. Support the brands that support our show, and don't forget to use those codes to save. Find it all on our website, and be sure to click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner for all your gear and parts needs and to help us out in the process. And most of all, thanks to you guys for listening. Shop our Digging Deep merch at shop.diggingdeepatvmx.com and find all things ATV fantasy related at atvfantasy.com. And shout out to last week's winners. We only had two of them, one of them being my mom and the other one being Nate Lang, an old rival of mine way back when I was racing 450s when I was not legal to race 450s locally. Those two didn't have the perfect combination, but they almost had the perfect combination, and it was good enough to win. And I thought that adding the pro sport riders to the ATV fantasy game was an absolute blast. So really looking forward to another round of that with our pro sport riders coming up this weekend and coming down the pipe. Super excited to think about having the legends in the game for the Briarcliff Legends race. They're going to take the pro sport rider spot that weekend at Briarcliff. So head over to atvfantasy.com now to check everything out ATV fantasy related. If you're looking for another easy way to help support us, visit our website and click the Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee buttons. This allows you to set up a one-time or monthly contribution to support our efforts. Follow the show on social media, Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, and myself, Cody Jansen, for additional content, coverage, and more fun stuff as we're here in the midst of a great 2024 ATV Motocross National Championship season. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and more. Wherever you find podcasts, you'll find the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast. All episodes, additional podcast providers, sponsor links, and discount codes, show merchandise, fantasy info, and more can all be found on our website, diggingdeepatvmx.com. So check that out today. Be a friend, tell a friend. Please download, subscribe, rate, review, and share. And with that, for Jeffrey Rastrelli, Westley Wolfe, Brooke Jansen, Dallas Jansen, and I'm your host, Cody Jansen. Thanks for listening and making us the most listened to podcast in ATV racing, with more than 258,000 downloads last month in 109 total countries. Until next time, thanks for joining us in Digging Deep with the Stars of ATV Motocross. Things are crashing and burning here at the Digging Deep podcast, much like the Titanic.
Those guys were hauling ass, for real.
I remember watching Doug Gus, I don't know who it was, Steel City, running the same times Friday afternoon as James Stewart was on Sunday back then. It was mental. I've never seen quads go that fast.
Quad dudes are freaking nuts.